Welcome in, everyone. So glad to have you here. Day 2 of Last Chance starting right now. Let's go ahead and have a look at what was going on yesterday, guys. Me and Red Eyes were bringing you all the action, and some amazing action it was. 9Z Globant leading the charge after day 1, and they are absolutely feeling good. We do have Rusher 7 Esports following up in second, Dead Eyes Guys in third, Zombie Boys NA in fourth, and GR Esports in fifth. And you see we do have a pretty close tie there for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, even 9th is in there. So yes, guys, things are looking very interesting on this one. We got our guys dropping in right now. Let's go ahead and jump in and see what's happening here. What's going on, guys? Welcome in. So glad to have you here. Your host, Beans Brigade. Red Eyes is not here in round 1. We will have him in here a little bit later on, though, guys, for round 2 and beyond. For now, we are looking around, trying to find some fights here, seeing what's going on. Let's go ahead and check out some of these teams that landed in. Oh, I did mention 9Z earlier, one of our top scoring teams, or our #1 top scoring team of that last day here. And we do have Dauntless and 9Z right next to each other. All right, so here we go. Klaus is moving over. Has some decent loot here. And yes, they are one building over from 9Z Globant here outside of Kameshki. And we are keeping a close eye on the kill feed. One thing to note, guys, we are missing 2 teams in this very first lobby. Surprising. Some of these last team chances, maybe we're not feeling too good about their odds. Team 6 and Team 8. Let's go ahead and have a look and see who that is. Team 6 and Team 8. Golden Eagle's not in it. Just for fun, not in it. Uh-oh. Okay. Well, here we go. Dauntless already grabbing some vehicles, and it looks like they are going to back off this, potentially. We do have this Dauntless member here who's taken about half, or lost about half his HP. But here comes 9Z, and they are playing the exact same way they started out last night. Lots of aggression. Simple coming up on this hill, looking in that direction, sees Dauntless driving away. Okay, guys, so Zombie Boys and Manic starting out. Let's go ahead and see what's happening over here. Onion Sir looking uphill towards the Zombie Boys out here. All right, so Zombie Boys are going to go ahead and take school area, guys. Oh, we are looking for any other fights going on right now. Let's see. We do have Deadeye's guys not far away from Zombie Boys here. Just outside of Roz area. And I do believe the rest of Deadeye's guys are deep in Roz. Let's go see. Shufu already in there. Blade in here. Blade deep in Flooded Town. All right, so not too much popping up on the kill feed just yet, guys. Surprisingly, we're waiting to see where some of these early fights are breaking out. And as I mentioned, we will have Red Eyes on a little bit later with this, guys, for rounds 2 through 5. Excited to hear his take on how some of these teams are playing here, on what we're looking at in this last chance lobby. Remember, only the top 4 teams do advance to the grand finals. So it really is going to be only a few teams that do get the opportunity to shine and move forward there. 9Z moving up here. And they are definitely one of the teams I'm going to be keeping a close eye on, as well as Rusher 7 over here in North Georgia Pool right now. All right, so yes, we do have a little bit of time between matches, and I usually wouldn't bring the map up like this, but we are going to for now, just so you guys can see what exactly is happening here. And just a good overview. You see that first zone did end up shifting over to the north side. We were just looking at Zombie Boys and Deadeye's guys near each other in that school Roz area. The Mists are actually moving in toward that lone Deadeye guy member, and then ICU and Manic near each other. Let's go for now and have a look at the Taco Lovers on their rotation right now. They are moving along here. And we see Taco Lovers sitting above this compound, looking for some activity, maybe looking for a place that they'd like to hold on to in this current zone. Deadeye's guys have taken position not too far away from Taco Lovers. And then Zombie Boys over there to the south in school apartment area. And we're just looking over there in the distance, seeing. But yes, welcome in, chat. I see you guys coming in here, bringing your positive vibes. Matthew, Besus. What's going on, guys? Hope y'all having a fantastic Friday. Let's go see what's happening over here. Control, only a 3-man squad in this one. Pika, Robin, and JPK. And they are kind of out here right in the middle of a lot of these teams. Let's go actually check out Manic, though. Right now, they're heading in towards N-Hyper. We were talking a lot about N-Hyper's lack of productivity that last round. Not that I want to talk crap about them, anything like that. They're a solid team, but they only had 3 players for most of their matches and really did not perform as well as they wanted to there in day one. Gaji is getting lit up now. Oh my goodness. Zane was able to catch him there. Gaji must have been maybe saying something to one of his buddies. Didn't realize that he had teams in the area, and Manic will get that first knock on N-Hyper. Coming in hot. F's is the other N-Hyper member, trying to send some shots from a distance to help out his down teammate. And here comes Stars as well. Looking good, guys. Oh, Stars gets hit with a beautiful nade from Mingting. And F's from a distance, not going to back off that. Is going to look here from this high ground. May try to get some full sprays on him. Let's have a look. Good shots from F's. Does hit a few good ones there. Not enough to get a knock, though. All right, well, F's is the last one now from N-Hyper. Just going to try to back off, live to fight another day. Over here, we're looking at Dauntless right now. All right, so nothing happening here just yet. I thought Dauntless and 9Z were looking at each other. We were maybe going to have a fight. Oh, for now, we do have Manic over here and Rude Dudes rolling up. Rude Dudes were almost a non-factor yesterday. They did take a few fights on, but they are definitely there near the bottom of that results list. They're going to be wanting to make some big things happen here today. And keep that in mind, guys. We saw that multiple tie there around like 5th to 7th to 8th place. Some of these teams who did poorly in the first day could absolutely come out and do some big things if they can consistently drop some good points here in day 2. Absolutely not out of the realm of possibility to see one of these guys jump 10, 15 places maybe. But obviously they have to perform. They got to get some wins. They got to get eliminations. Most importantly, that is one of the biggest parts of this point format, is getting eliminations. You can't just stay low and snake your way to a first, second place and expect to advance off that. You need to get those eliminations back in it. You need to get those frags All right, and keep in mind, guys, we are not going to be playing Miramar tonight. It's going to be the same rotation as last night, but we will have that rotation, the Miramar rotation, in for the grand final. Something to be aware of. And I know some teams are a little heartbroken to hear that. Some teams are very happy. Sanhok is absolutely a good map where you can get a lot of eliminations depending on how you play it and how you land. All right, nothing happening just yet over here. I really thought Rude Dudes and Manic were going to start to engage one another, but these guys are playing it a bit conservative, as are some of these other teams. Okay, next zone is getting ready to shift. Let's see where it is going to be sending these teams. It's going to go over here surrounding Ra's area, and that is definitely going to benefit a few of these teams. 9Z, who we're looking at, is already on their way in. They have control in front of them. Rusher 7 coming in now, as well as the Miss. So we know we're going to see some names popping up on this kill feed soon. I am going to start letting that guide me on where to check for fights. The Miss sitting right here above Rusher 7. We also have Deadeye's guys against Zombie Boys. Let's go and hop to that right away. We got Sita down here as well as Crazy. Deadeye's guys came in aggressively. Julio and Aorsic are just going to go ahead and back off that. Not even look to take this fight on in that immediate area, but maybe going to cross the street and try to take this on. We also have Rusher 7 and GR Esports in a little bit of a battle. Yeah, we're going to come back to this area of Roz real quick. For now, GR Esports over here. There's actually a few teams in this area. Alien is down. Dauntless downhill. We got Control in the area as well right now. And then the Miss up on this high ground looking down. So a lot of teams in close proximity. This is right on the north edge of zone. ECOG from Rusher 7 did end up going down there in the distance to Dauntless. It looks like who's going to go in and quickly get that thirst. Rusher 7 looking in Dauntless's direction, wants to start taking shots. Going right past GR Esports compound, and they are going to hit Bolitz with some good shots. Can they get low? Bolitz took some damage, but yes, looks like they are going to be able to get out of that. Maybe they're in midair right now. That was an easy target. Yes, Bolitz will find some cover. Okay. Control moving in towards Dauntless over here. Robin just peeking over this hill at them. We also have 9Z Globin right nearby. Elite staying here in cover, watching these two teams on this hill. We were looking at the Miss earlier. It looks like they just had one of their members get knocked. And yes, we do have a nice fight going up here on this hill. It looks like the Miss F-29 Reborn engaging one another. Neverside got some good damage on Spotlight. Relax is going to let Spotlight back off, get into some cover, and finishes off Neverside. Dark and Vortex, last two standing from the Miss, still in a vehicle. Dark goes down. Good shots there from God LD and El King. Vortex is trying to evacuate the premises, is getting fired on. Okay. F-29 sitting right above GR Esports there. Relax actually moved right in that direction, left himself a little open to be fired on, but quickly falls back and regroups with the team. Look at all these fancy exotic cars. These guys got a lot of money. Vortex over here, I think. Or who is it that's firing behind him? Is it F's? All right, so F29 holding on to this hill pretty nicely here. That zone did just shift again, guys. It's going to be covering Roz very well here. Basically just tightened in, went right in towards the middle on that close. We do have Deadeyes, guys, in a fight. They took out that last member of the Mist out there in that river. I have a feeling that member tried to make a dive directly into zone. We're looking over at 9Z Globin. I missed this. They lost 3 out of 4 of their members here. Elite is the last one, is in the exact same position we saw him earlier. ICU Esports downhill here, taking shots at Taco Lovers right now. Taco Lovers are moving around. Doodle Bob looking down there towards ICU, was about to take shots, but decides against it. Has Dauntless uphill, so Taco Lovers are in some trouble right now. They're definitely being pinned down. It's Payne and Klaus up here on this hill, or on this building, taking big shots down there towards Thursday, and Doodle Bob does end up getting the knock on Thursday. Good shots from Payne. Rest of Taco Lovers are trying to get in position to give their guys some cover fire. And you can see Wednesday and Tuesday are going to go ahead and back off over there towards Thursday. ICU being pushed in from the edge of zone, and then GR Esports and F29 right here in a fight. Oh, but F's is, no, excuse me, Spotlight there. Gets that knock. King comes in with the vehicle, knocks out Tornado. King is the last one now. No, never mind. King is the solo one in this area, taking shots at the vehicle. Goes down to that DBS gentleman. Way to defend this area with that DBS. And I think that was not quite what that member expected. Taco Lovers and ICU have a big fight right on top of one another. Thursday takes down Zuko. Wancho, the last one standing here. And this has gotten crazy quick. Wancho with the squad wipe on Thursday with the DBS. Beautiful shots there. ICU will end up taking out the Taco Lovers. Okay, guys. Wow, this ramped up. This went 0 to 100 quickly. Next zone has shifted. It's going to be right here where Dauntless is. Let's go check out 9Z Elite, who's just been driving around. Like, this solo member has been doing a pretty good job of staying alive. And that is it for Elite of 9Z Globin. Just got eliminated. So 9Z are one of the earlier ones taken out here, and that's exactly what some of these other teams wanted to see over that ICU fight. Wancho was not able to get his teammate res. He's a solo now. ICU barely hanging on, but Wancho is absolutely a good last member to put your hopes on, I would say. Dauntless here is a full squad still. Klaus is low, but is getting healed up pretty quickly. We got Control still in the area. Rusher 7 making a dive straight in the water. Spooky and Bolitz, the last 2 from that team. Oh yeah, and I forgot. You can just sit on the back of that like that for a bit. All right, Bolitz, the last one from Rusher 7, getting looked at by Dauntless. And Bolitz in trouble, is gonna go down there. And Klaus gets the knock. That's 1 of 2 members left from Rusher 7. So we've seen the top 2 teams coming in today taking some lumps right now. Spookies is the last one standing, is getting fired on, and is just trying to stay alive here, trying to get his team a few more placement points. Blades staying low there, was using that vehicle for cover. I love the position Dauntless is holding on to right now. Look how many teams are out there in the blue at the moment. We got Zombie Boys out there, Manic Esports as well. We did just see ICU get taken out. We got Dauntless right now looking over at Control. Pika is going to get knocked and thirsted. Good nades from JPK. I think that one's going to hit. No, it did not take down Relax. I thought it was a good nade, but I was wrong. It was a little bit off target. And these guys who were coming in from Roz just got absolutely slaughtered if they didn't make an early move. There were so many teams waiting on this hill to gatekeep. Dauntless here has Klaus go down. And yes, you see that hill is right above them over here. So this tower is in a little bit of a tough spot. It's not the tallest point in the area. That is pretty much right where Robin is over here. Let's see, guys. Let's see. Dauntless got themselves healed up, back to full four-man, a full four-man in the middle. Rude Dudes are also still a four-man, as is Deadeye, guys. Beast Sir still looking for an angle on that Rusher 7 member. Leon Sir just got lit up by this Dauntless member here. And there goes Blade of Deadeye's, guys. Dauntless in a great position to put damage on them from above. Robin and JPK have a nice position here from that high ground. Shifu tried to push up. He did end up getting a knock on one of these Dauntless members. And that is going to be it for Deadeye's, guys. They get their push stalled out here trying to move up this hill. So our top three is as follows. It's going to be Rude Dudes, Dauntless, and Control. Rude Dudes, I mentioned earlier that we hadn't seen much from them yesterday. So they are coming out strong here with a third place finish. You see they're going to be rolling through that smoke. Robin pulls out that pump shotty. The nades coming in towards Robin. Manny got knocked. And you see Dauntless is coming up here. That's not looking good for Control. They're going to be pinched between these two teams now. JPK gets hit hard. Robin is just trying to stay low. Not be an easy target for either one of these teams. The nade. Oh, beautiful nade there from Klaus. They get the squad wipe on that last member of Control. And now Rude Dude's trying to get Manny picked up quickly. Dauntless do have a nice little spot on this hill here. Titan goes down. Good shot to member, although Salty and Klaus both just got lit up there by Whitebeard, who had a great angle from behind. And you can see Whitebeard and them are pushing in now, looking to finish off Dauntless here in this one. Manny goes down to Payne. Payne gonna try to get his teammate picked up before this smoke clears. Sees Jazz coming from up on that hill. Nice shots there from Payne. And it is, I believe this is a 1v1 to decide this one. Yes, Payne pops out and finishes off the Rude Dudes to grab the win here in round one. Nice job, Dauntless. They are going to come in and drop a total of, what's that? 15 limbs there? 16 limbs? Nice job, guys. Very nice job. Dauntless coming in strong in round one. Second place will be Rude Dudes with 2 total. And third place was Control with 1. All right, good stuff there, guys. Good stuff. Here are your stars of the match. Klaus from Dauntless gets that going. A lot of war with 6 defeats. This member from Dauntless get that best companion with 2 rives. If someone in the chat could tell me what that person's name is, I'd love to be able to call out who they are. And then Payne from Dauntless will get that final elimination for the win. Okay, guys, absolutely a good first round in the books for Dauntless there. That's exactly how they wanted to come out and play this one. I know you guys were curious seeing what's going on with Red Eyes. If he is showing up, he absolutely is. He's going to be joining me here soon, guys. We're actually going to go ahead and set up for the next round. Going to tweak some stuff on my side to make sure we're clean on that. and get him in for the remainder rounds. You guys in chat, thank y'all so much for tuning in. It is lit right now. There will be UC codes tonight. I know some of y'all were asking about that. So yes, keep an eye on the chat. You'll see some dropped in here periodically throughout the night. But yes, guys, great first round in the books. Enjoy the replays from that last one, and we'll see you here soon for the start of round 2 on Sanhok. All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. We are just getting started here on match 2 on Sanhok. Got Red Eyes in the booth with me here. What's going on, Red Eyes?
What's going on, Brother Bean? So sorry for missing out on match 1. You know, the tell-old tale of any technical issue that can happen will happen.
Hey, no worries at all, man. Fashionably late to the party here is what I would say.
That's right.
Glad to have you on board for sure. All right, so we see
Happy to be here.
Teams are already jumping out here, and 9Z Globin, just to give you an update on what's happening, 9Z Globin was eliminated pretty early last round, along with Rushers 7, who were both they were the number 1 and 2 teams respectively. Dauntless grabbed that dub overall. Rude Dudes was in it, along with Control in that top 3. So things have absolutely started out interesting here in this one.
Yeah, remember what we were saying at the end of yesterday? The only way that we're going to be able to knock anyone like 9Z off their rocker, realistically, is basically the target tactic. I mean, and that really is going to boil down to, well, at this point, it would have boiled down to maybe the last 2 matches of yesterday and then the entirety of today. But realistically, the first, 1 to 2, maybe even say 3 matches is where we're going to get that real idea if that is the overall strategy here for the playing field. Because you have to think about it this way. It's not necessarily just the 9Z problem, for teams in that top 3-4 bracket, but they could be literally undone by anything. But it will require that kind of lack of hesitation, and it will have to happen right from the get-go. Their lead at the end of yesterday was pretty significant.
Yes, it was,
and that's gonna take.
It was a 14-point lead to speak to your point there. So they were pretty good, well ahead of Rusher 7. And they're taking on an early fight now against the Miss. They did end up losing Elite off the break, who was doing really well for them yesterday.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting situation for them, because if they are eliminated twice at the beginning of 2 matches, I think that really could be enough to alleviate that point deficit for second place. And let's take it a step further. Let's say, they are eliminated twice early, and as you said, it was also the second place bracket team that was eliminated early first match. If that happens twice, that could make it a little bit more of an even playing field for the teams all the way down into that 5th or 6th place bracket. If I'm not mistaken, at the end of yesterday, it was only maybe 12 points separating from 6th to 3rd. I'll have to go look at the overall scores here.
Yes, it's 10 points actually, 10 points between those two. So it's very close. 100%. You are right.
That is going to explain a little bit of Scream Zoo's hesitation here. We are already seeing the kind of the pressure factor affecting their gameplay. Yesterday, they were out on a sort of all-out bloodthirsty berserker warpath, actively seeking, every confrontation there. And now we are seeing a little bit of hesitation here, but understandably so, when Scream Zoo is very limited in terms of resources and ammo. He only has 23 bullets of 5.56 remaining in the chamber here, and literally nothing to speak of in terms of meds. So the resources are finite here, to say the least. And realistically, they did have such an extensive head start. We'll call it a head start. That I do think that laying low and playing from a more reserved, conservative standpoint, just to acquire the placement points as a basis, it's for them, particularly for 9Z, I think that's workable.
Yes.
And maybe even for a team like the Rushers, but for basically the entirety of the rest of the playing field, you are going to want to see a little bit more capitalization on those opportunities. I think we definitely saw some reservations and hesitations from around that midpoint of the day yesterday onward. And I don't think that really is going to be a luxury afforded to the participants today, just given that, I missed out on 1 match. There's literally only 3 matches ahead of us to really seal the deal. This is the last chance stage.
Yep.
After this, it's all gone. So if we're going to see any of these big moves,
they got to happen now.
I think we're going to get an idea, between this match and the next match, if we're going to be seeing some of those bold mid game aggressive pushes that aren't really what we would expect from an underperforming team thus far. But it's going to be particularly interesting to watch for matches 4 and 5, especially for the teams who have not fared too advantageous thus far today. Because, if you have no shot at advancing, well, that makes you the most dangerous opponent.
Nothing
on
to
the
lose. You literally can play as aggressive, as desperate as you want in that situation. And we have definitely seen some teams who put it on themselves to be the, what's the word? The spoiler, the one who doesn't make it, but they're going to go through and ruin anyone else's chances that they can. That has absolutely been a thing I've seen in the past. And we could be seeing that here with some of these teams knowing that they are kind of on a chopping block. But
yeah, it's going to be, I'm going to have my eyes on, particularly on, Rush, 9Z. I am curious to see, if Deadeyes really, for like a team like InHyper or Deadeyes, I really do think that potential to close the gap. And now don't get me wrong, InHyper, to say they were underperforming on day one would be, or on day one of the last chance stage, a bit of an understatement.
I agree.
But, I have seen it. I said it yesterday time and time again. I can't tell you the number of times I've said that and then watched InHyper have a bowl of Wheaties and a team captain pep talk in the locker room that changed the tides for the team. It's like they just, a switch
Right as
goes
you mentioned,
off.
right as you mentioned, InHyper,
Boom.
Blossom is going to go ahead and get a knock on one of these members, and they're a full 4-man squad now. So that's absolutely going to affect their confidence levels, how they choose to approach fights, all that type of stuff. That is a good way for InHyper to start out, and they are taking on Dauntless, the winners of the last round, and Deadeye's guys on the other side right now. So they are quite a bit spread out, kind of going for that boa attack that we were mentioning yesterday. You see F's moved over here, Stars is spread out a bit, although Blossom and Gaji are kind of grouped up over there.
Yeah, it does seem like it had an opportunity for it. But again, that's always put in place with our spectators' 2020 vision.
Yes, that's true.
Realistically, if they had attempted that boa strat, I think it would have proved pretty problematic up against a team, like MN, with Onion Sir and Ting Ting so close to the back end. And actually, in this case, I do think it could still be problematic for a team like the Deadeyes guys if they engage in any altercation with InHyper at this point.
And look at that. They do have their vehicle. They are rolling up hot on this. This is a 3-man pushing in. They crash the vehicle into a tree. That's going to slow down the wind in their sails just a little bit. But they are going uphill, going straight for Stars. Stars pulled their attention away from the others while they were getting Blossom picked up and healed. And look at that. Beast goes down right away. Great shots here from the side. Shifu goes down next to Gaji. And look at the way InHyper is taking this fight on. Already taking control.
Yeah, well, you say that. And
Blossom's down on the other side. You're right.
Yeah, with FS and Gaji, this is down to half their starting lineup. I don't blame FS for hanging back for a moment and regaining his health here. Remember what I said though yesterday? This is a team that under pressure just does not react to it. They know how to keep their calm, even when situations where maybe they shouldn't. In this case. Well, at this point, it's going to be down to Gaji and Gaji alone. He does get a takedown on Beast. It's not going to be Gaji alone. He was able to secure the revive on his fallen teammate Blossom, but with Stars and FS down, it is still a huge hit if they are not able to pull these revives off. But Gaji already quick to try to go join his teammates here. It looks like Blossom will be taking care of Stars, which is going to leave Gaji in charge of reviving FS. This could be an extra problematic position here if a team like MN, from that Hilltop and Overwatch standpoint, I withdraw my previous statement. Geographical advantages and cover points used in full effect here. That boulder is going to block that line of sight. But I think that's more coincidence than anything. I don't believe they even knew about MN's location.
Yes, MN has been looking at this, but I'm not sure if they were the ones that have been taking shots. I do believe it was Deadeye's guys that was putting big fire on them. And you can see InHyper, they are grabbing their vehicle now. They're going to exit that area. They don't want to take this fight on anymore, which is absolutely a smart choice. They're keeping their full 4-man squad. Lesser squad probably would have lost a few teammates there and not been able to get it, but you saw how quick they were to react, how good they were at getting in cover and just great coordination to stay that full 4-man squad and get those reses off.
Yeah, and it does lead me to wonder, we got a lot of confrontation on the southwestern portion of the map between Mist, Dauntless, and members of Golden Eagles. Now, the Eagles, up against a team like Dauntless, I do... Oh, pardon me, that is not going to be the Eagles. I withdraw that. I withdraw that. That's actually going to be Rush... Yes, I keep forgetting about the color codes here being changed.
Yes, the curveballs.
It's going to throw me out. Well, we actually have 2 points of contestation right now with Rude Dudes and ICU literally sandwiching the boys in GR.
Oh, yes.
In between them. We got a peanut butter and trouble sandwich in full effect, and with Zuko pulling a southbound flank potential.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, he is going to work his way up north into it.
He's got a good angle. He's behind these two here. GR Esports, Alien, and Tornado both looking. And Rude Dude's across the street now, too. And I can't believe GR Esports didn't pop out there. They're just...
It seemed like a wasted opportunity, didn't it?
It really did. I thought we were going to see an ambush there, but they hear all the craziness going on. They just want to keep their head low. Valak gets the knock on Titan. Whitebeard goes down right afterwards.
Well, Nate coming in with a DBS close quarter combat annihilator, ready to hold off Jas by any means necessary to give his teammates the cover fire that they need to get revived, get their resources, and get healed up. And as I say that, Valak sent right back down to the prone zone via Alien's Hellfire grenade.
Zuko went down afterwards. Alien with a great knock there on him. He's going to try to get his teammates healed up, or his teammate healed up ASAP.
And Juancho thanking his lucky stars, being taken down to a sliver of his health and somehow able to avoid that final bullet. And look at the retaliation. Made. 2 birds, 1 stone, returning the favor. He barely dodged death and then dishes it out double time to his opponent.
Absolutely great play.
That is what I love to see. And I was talking with Valak just the other day, and they are very much still sights set on Brazil if possible. So I know that they are not taking opportunities like this for granted. And so it's really good to see Juancho have such a underdog comeback right there, being taken down to 1% of his health.
That could have gone pretty poorly for them there, though, but they get a few eliminations out of it, and that is going to help build some confidence, I think, in them today. They were actually playing pretty well yesterday. They did end up getting a win overall, but it's all about maintaining that through this last chance phase here, keeping yourself going there in terms of your morale and making sure that you are playing to your strengths here, playing how you want to play and not being forced into certain positions there or whatever else by some of these high-profile teams.
Yeah, but you have to keep in mind, again, 3 more matches remain before this last chance has escaped them. So, yeah, you've got your opportunity to play in your comfort zone, but I think realistically, after match 3, there's not going to be much room for the majority of the player base to operate in that comfort zone if they want to really change the tides for a team like 9Z or R7, But, speaking of changing the tide, Salty not going to be able to really make that lasting impact. I choke on my words! Salty! What just happened? No time for celebration, but wow!
Oh, man.
Talk about adding salt to the wound right there with no health to speak of and still able to clutch that elim.
Great 1v1.
But just... no time for celebration whatsoever. And then the Mist striking right there. It's Neverside coming through. And Neverside putting up quite a performance there. Let me see. What is his overall...
Let's have a look at him. 3 elims right now for that squad, or for the... Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, he is responsible for all 3 of the teams. Realistically, though, he has, just as of this very moment, been able to meet the bracket for placement points. So him being alive at this point is going to be at least, a contribution of a minimum of 5 points.
Yep. It's definitely better than nothing, and that can help you for sure. Consistency 100%. Is key.
Ooh. Well, Taco is dropping some bombs on the likes of In Hyper. In Hyper, once again, a full 4-piece that really shouldn't have been after that last altercation. that was opportunities wasted. And so if there's ever a team that you really don't want to have their full manpower and firepower behind at an end game, at least on this playing field, it's without a doubt in Hyper. This is a team that can absolutely flip the well, I'm going to call it the atrocious start to the stage. And I wouldn't rule it out. Now, how did In Hyper place in round 1?
They actually were up there. They did end up, they were down to a solo, but that solo was able to make it at least in a top 7, I believe.
Okay, so there's placement points. All right. Well, they have an opportunity at this point to gatekeep the Western Front. That could be beneficial in terms of if Taco Tuesday, particularly Taco Tuesday of the team, decides to rotate straight inward. But due to Tuesday's hesitation, I'm pretty sure that he or she has some sort of awareness of In Hyper's location. Now, this could actually be problematic for someone like Stars of In Hyper, though. Stars, well, I guess he's got Blossom with him here, but if he were to creep that hill crest, he would be in the line of sight of the Tacos. And
a few others potentially, because Control is in the area as well, there in the distance.
You're right. Control is off in the distance, but I do think with that sort of distance that there's a little bit too much geographical blockage to that line of sight. Yes. Granted, anything's possible. I'm just going off of, the likely scenario that they probably can't see through all those trees. But it looks like maybe I'm gonna, ICU and Control having at it as well.
Yes, they are. Here we go. This is an up-close fight. Nade's coming out right now. Nate is trying to gets hit hard with that DBS. Oh, the jump shot. Great hit from Nate.
DBS is the least forgiving of the close quarter weapons. And you're seeing why in full form. And look at this. ICU as a 3-piece, moving on as a 3-piece, but with 10 elims to their name, already at the 6th place bracket. Zuko being taken down. It's all in the hands of Juancho and Nate. Woo!
And they're going to back off that, surprisingly, but it is 5th zone, so they would not have been able to get that res off on Zuko.
Yeah, but it's out of the frying pan into the fire, but now up against the likes of 9Z and that team who wow, Nate with the preemptive DBS bonk to the face.
Oh, it was Nate. Very nice shots.
And Stars able to finish what he started with a takedown on Wednesday.
Oh, yes, they're fighting up here on this hill too, Stars and Taco Lovers.
Yeah.
Blossom is looking in the distance too. Tuesdays gets taken down by that blue.
2 confrontations simultaneously here. This is going to be a tough one.
ICU definitely in a tough low ground there. Being only a duo. 9Z is a duo now too, though. And I think N Hyper may be our last full 4-man that's left.
And I'm not a bit surprised to, again, they know how to exercise patience when they need to. They're comfortable in their close quarter confrontations. They're comfortable as solos in aggressive pushes, but they are very comfortable with patience over everything else. And this is a team that knows how to wait for the right opportunities to capitalize. And as I say that, choking on my words as Gaji swallows that nade whole. Chaco getting that easy takedown. Will it amount to a thirst? It is not looking ideal, but it looks like they are ganging up on 2 different teams with a takedown on an ICU member as well.
Yes, they had a good view of ICU as they were coming up, and they were able to eliminate them. I think 9Z had a nice angle, too. So we have our top 3 now. It's Zombie Boys, 9Z, Globin, and N Hyper. N Hyper getting their first top 3 finish here in this last chance lobby.
And honestly, how exciting would it be to see N Hyper pull such a change in the tides and actually qualify for this grand final stage? At this stage, at this point, literally as right before we reach the halfway mark for the second of 2 days here, if they can change that, and honestly, as crazy and hypothetical of a scenario as that sounds, how many times have we seen In Hyper do something just like that?
Oh, absolutely. It is definitely a thing we've seen in the past here, in the Pmci. Previously, season 2, we saw some big comebacks from them. They would kind of start out a little bit slow, but it's that quiet confidence almost. Oh, but Blossom is able to be seen.
I was trying to take a sip of that energy drink. I couldn't believe that Chaco spotted him.
was hiding there, and they had some good eyes to see Blossom. The snake tactic did not work out well for them there.
Well, give credit to where credit is due. 9Z is a bit hesitant to push inbound into this new zone, but there is a bit of reasoning to it, especially with that high ground positioning. They really want to wait for these two teams to engage with one another and then utilize that Overwatch and just annihilate them from that high ground standpoint. Unfortunately, as long as InHyper's final hope here, Stars gets caster cursed by me. As long as all right, well, we got the Z-Boys, the Zombie Boys versus 9Z. Now, this is a crazy little scenario where 9Z probably should not have been able to hold on to their two-piece manpower here as long as they were. But give them credit. We talk about InHyper's, patience. Well, 9Z, a team that knows how to operate on both ends of the spectrum as well, on the all-out aggressive, fast-paced, engaging, as well as when their resources are put into a bit more in check and they lose half their lineup, they know how to dial things back and make sure that they get those placement points at the least. But then add into it 8 limbs. That's 18-point takeaway. That's a pretty healthy gain for them. It's bad news for the entire rest of the playing field.
No question with that, for sure. And there, I really thought we were going to see more aggression from Zombie Boys near the end. I think that them kind of playing back like they did really opened up the door for 9Z to come in and just take out both teams. Zombie Boys were the ones that had the angle on NHyper in that low ground, and they didn't quite. I mean, obviously in the low ground, you're in a tough spot, but they did have some good angles. They just kind of stayed back and let what was going to happen.
Well, high ground isn't going to be everything, and if it's going to matter the least on any of the maps that we're playing, it's going to be Sanhok, just because there are so many geographical cover points that you might be able to acquire. But that's not going to say that it's, leaving it any sort of safety per se, but certainly more potential points of cover at the very least. So I can understand a little bit, but. Yeah, to allow 9Z to continue forward as a two-piece and then getting that one knock on them and not securing or even attempting to secure any of those thirsts, a bit surprising. But hey, there's still 3 more matches ahead of us today, and anything can happen.
Yes, and it's so funny because we saw 9Z early on in that match. They were in a little bit of hot water. They lost their member right off the bat. They were going against, I think it was Manic or one of these other teams there in the beginning, and they backed off as well. And you know what? I think that speaks to, they saw the name on the kill feed. They see that they're dealing with a team who's playing pretty confidently. Maybe they just weren't feeling it and they backed off. So kind of lends into what a good performance day one can do. Your name starts carrying some weight to it, and 9Z absolutely has that right now.
Well, the intimidation factor certainly does make sense at this stage, but they are not, at least at this point, prior to the last match, they weren't really out of reach. Mm-hmm. They are still very much attainable. Now, given that win from the previous match, I am curious to see what sort of point differential that is going to put between themselves and teams like the Rushers. But we'll see that as we move into the next round. So
absolutely. All right, well, good stuff there, guys. We do have some replays for you from the previous one. There is going to be more UC codes being dropped periodically in the chat, so make sure you guys keep an eye on that. We're going to go ahead and get set up for the next one, and we will see y'all here soon for the start of round 3 back on Erangel. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting ready to start this round. Back up here, match 3. Oh, we actually have a Miramar here. All right, fantastic.
Wow, let's get it. I just realized I am now sharing my screen, but it's got a blur on it. Let me go ahead and fix that for you, and we should be good.
All right,
on the Discord, by the way.
All right,
yeah.
Go ahead and
why is it showing up blurry though? I think it's because hold on, don't swap to that just yet. Let me turn this off a little bit.
All good, all goody. So yes, guys, we are getting ready to start this next match, and I'm very excited for Miramar without question. I didn't think we were going to see it tonight, so that is definitely a pleasant surprise. This
is so interesting. Are you getting a blurred feed for me?
Yeah, something is doing it. It might be NVIDIA broadcast.
Yeah, I think it is, and I thought I turned that off. Let me see. Oh well, you know, that's just tend to be the nature of it.
Of course, as always, Murphy's Law in full effect here. All right, guys. So yes, we are starting out now. Let's have a look at our plane path here on this one. We're coming in from the northwest, going straight down to the southeast. Beautiful plane path for Miramar. It's exactly what these teams wanted to see.
Yeah, you know, this is a map that is just so vast and open that, you know, inopportune plane path can really set a slow tone for that first half of the match. So it is good to see that they are given a lot of variety and options.
Yes, absolutely. I like to see that teams aren't kind of being forced into a certain location. Really, really good spread on this one. So yes, we are on our way here. Let's see where some of these teams are landing. Dauntless, as usual, went to El Pozo. Do we have any hot drops? That's my question right now. It looks like Picado may be suspiciously empty. Not used to seeing that at all.
All right, my feed is now unblurred. It was through Discord, apparently. Okay, so it looks like we might be getting some contestation between the likes of Control and 9Z to start the match off. Now, this could be interesting for numerous reasons, but also 9Z, it looks like it's just Scream Zoo from what I'm seeing. I'm going to have to get a closer eye in. Tell you what I'm even going to do.
Let me go check that out. Yes, they are right over here, not too far away from Rude Dudes. Yes, this is definitely going to be something that's happening here. Simple Elite looting up quickly. It's just these two. Yes, Scream Zoo is not here with them.
Looks like I am getting all these tabs on the wrong things here. Of course. All right, yeah, so that's going to be a bit of a tough one here. And Simple, actually, just swimming in a pool of enemies right now. He's got members of Control to worry about. So with Elite being focused on by Rude Dudes, Control focusing on Scream Zoo, this could be the change in the tides that, you know, the rest of the playing field actually needs.
Yes, at 100%. I agree with you on that one. And I hate to say it, but I like to see that. I like to see these other teams have an opportunity to come back, to make something happen.
Yep, they're doing it. Control going at them in the distance. It looks like, yeah, there was a takedown for Control. It went to Robin, and they are out of the thick of it. That altercation is done and done, out of the way, and now we are left with a little bit of a spread.
We're jumping to your POV right now. Just a heads up,
sounds
so you take it away.
All right, everyone, welcome in to Casa de Red Eye's view here. Let's get it going. So currently, as you guys can see, we've got Blade of Deadeye a little bit spread out from his team, and matter of fact, the entirety of Deadeye's is pretty spread out. And being as it is so early on in the match of a Miramar, as close as some of these teams may seem, I say this pretty frequently now. It's one of my favorite things to say. But my buddy DK, a mentor of mine and a fellow commentator, always describes Miramar like driving on the interstate and looking through a rear view. Objects may appear closer on the map than they actually are. And just because the map shows it congested, remember, this is an 8x8 of mostly actual surface area and land. So other than right now with a 9Z being swarmed on here by the Rude Dudes, there's not many points of confrontation to watch.
Yes, definitely a good point there. Miramar is just so wide open that we don't see a whole lot of hot drops. Sometimes we do, but in this tournament, especially with it being last chance, oh, Simple did not even defend himself very well. I thought we were going to see at least one knock there, but Simple is going to get eliminated here to start, and I think that's it for 9Z.
Yeah, that is, and this is good news for especially, you know, teams like Rush, Control, and I thank you again for sending me the scores just briefly, but I am now looking at so many feeds here. But yeah, so for 9Z, they were currently, after that previous, I guess after day one, they came in at a 14-point gain. That's obviously going to be a little bit more emphasized after the last match. But for a team like Deadeye's, guys, you know, there is a fair point deficit between third and second, and second and first. But after that performance from the previous match, and if they're able to somehow, you know, clutch a dub here, I think that they could start setting their sights on legitimately taking 9Z off of that King of the Hill position. Now, for a team like Rushers, it's going to be so within reach at this point. All they're really going to need to do is at the very least, ensure that they get some sort of placement. Any sort of placement points is going to, at the very least, close that gap. There's not going to be any more point gain for 9Z for this match, obviously. So at this point, now is the time for them to exercise a little bit of patience.
100%. And it's not like they know that they're taken out here so far. Obviously, they can't see it, but Rusher 7, they've had the number 2 spot here coming into the day. They're aware of their position, how well they did, and if they can just keep it going, and obviously, even regardless of what the other team's doing, if they do frag out, if they do get a good amount of eliminations and they are able to get themselves some good placement, then it's almost a no-brainer that you'll at least have good odds to make it. So I'm going to be keeping a close eye on Rusher 7 for that. I already know that they were going to come out playing strong, seeing them in previous events.
Well, it looks like we might be getting a little confrontation between the likes of In Hyper and the opposition in Dauntless on the western portion. Now, it looks like everyone's got their vehicles here, but Goji is not far off. Yeah, it's actually going to be one member of Dauntless, and Dauntless has already lost a player thus far, so they're already reduced down to a 3-piece, going to have to limit their approaches here, especially against a team like In Hyper, and already Goji looking around, surveying the scene, and trying to use that high ground to his advantage, trying to get some Overwatch scouting info to relay back to his teammates, but I doubt that he actually knows about... I don't know what this player's name is. I don't know how to read that, but I'm going to call him... We'll call him... What's his name? I doubt that he knows of what's his name's location here.
Yes, I think you're right. They are staying low. This what's his name character is being very, very sneaky and could pop out with a good ambush.
Even more so than that, the fact that he doesn't know, and look how cautiously he is playing. He's still not giving up any easy peeks to the Dauntless location.
Yes, that's a great point. And he's actually looking at it. He looked at that crate more than once, Goji did. I think he may have a feeling that he's there. Maybe he saw some movement. Let's see what happens here, though. He's putting himself out there a little more. His back is exposed. I'm nervous for him. That's all I can say.
All right. I am getting everything going here. It looks like we should have it set up now. All right. Apparently, it's not going to disappear. But Goji was just rocked like a bad habit. And, you know, to say that I have caster cursed In Hyper 3 times over now, that is it. I do feel a little bit bad there, but you got to give credit where credit is due. Dauntless really playing that patiently, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. He had eyes on Goji for, yeah, I mean, 2 or 3 minutes at the very least, and several, you know, points where he knew he could get at least a couple shots to hit his mark, but he was waiting to make it count for the full knock, and boy, did it ever pay in spades for him. And the team needs every elim that they can get. Let's see, Dauntless coming into the day at the start with, let's see, oh, they came in at 8th place at the beginning of the day, so they are very much still kind of in that equation, and realistically they were only 4 points separating 4th place from 8th place.
Yes, they are absolutely right there. They're not too far out of it. As long as they can play consistent, I think they will most likely be one of those top 4 teams. Just seeing how they started out today in round 1, they were the ones who grabbed the win there in that first round, putting up 16 elims. Great way to start it. Great way to show that you're coming out to play here in this last chance lobby.
That's right. And I'm also seeing members of the Deadeyes, guys. Looks like they're going to be spreading out a bit themselves and trying to use the geography as much to their advantage as they can. We're hearing some shots being put outwards, and it does seem like it's going to be westbound towards Zombie Boys. You know, if Deadeyes guys and Zombie Boys, if dead guys and zombies can't get along, you know,
then who can, right?
I am so disappointed in what my humor has become over the last 2 years.
The dad joke's always on point with Red Eyes on here. I love it.
Well, I don't want to do it. I just can't help it. But Control Esports also in a potential world of trouble here, as they are pulling some interesting rotations. They have the every man for themselves vehicle tactic approach here, and they are driving in between Taco Lovers in Hyper and Zombie Boys, and the place that they decide to settle upon is literally in the Bermuda Triangle of trouble, is what I'll say it. And as I say that, Zombie Boys actually getting a takedown in the distance. I believe that was Julio who was able to acquire it. Aorsic now focusing his attention with an 8x Car 98 aimed out at Shifu of Deadeyes. Not really any potential shots of getting the line of sight from this point onto Shifu, but really leaving himself vulnerable to Shifu's teammates a little bit west of him.
Yes, absolutely. You can see these guys have taken position here on one of the best hills in this area, looking over at excuse me, that was Zombie Boys. Sorry, I got a little mixed up on my camera change. But yes, all that firing is going to bring attention. Control is well aware that there's people up on this hill now, and there's probably a few other teams in the area that are going to start creeping over, maybe looking for some easy third parties or easy long range of limbs.
Well, interesting choice of weweaponry for the task. Yeah, wow. And not only was he using it, he actually hit the shots with it too. That. Brick reduced down to half health, but with that Car 98 8x, it was just open picking. Interesting choice, but you know, sometimes that 150 round clip can give you all the chances you need.
Absolutely.
If at first you don't succeed, you have 149 more bullets to hit the mark.
Very good point for sure. I love to see that he's going for it and just trying to sprinkle some shots on him. At this point,
I don't even think he's going for it. I think what Aorsic is doing is actually pretty smart. He is trying to keep Control confined. He's trying to keep that pressure factor on him. He knows he's not going to likely get that warehouse knock, and even if he does without a vehicle push, the chances of it, I'm assuming that no one's going to run directly out in the open. So I'm assuming if he is able to get a knock, they'll quickly be behind that little wall right there. So realistically, he's just trying to hold them at bay and let them just remind him, hey, you know, you're not safe there.
Absolutely. Sometimes you got to have that presence. You're sitting there and you're a factor. If you're sitting up there, they know you're firing down on them. They're not going to be moving around as much. They're definitely going to be cautious of that. And they went and took the high ground. Why not assert that on the others? You don't want to. You're not taking the high ground to hide from people. You're sitting there because you're confident you can make those long shots. And we're seeing that from Zombie Boys here. I love it. We're looking at Crazy right now, disabling one of these vehicles. And I'm not even sure whose vehicle that is. Who's he looking at? That's actually Taco Lovers.
Yeah, they're putting a hurting on Doodle. And that is going to be an interesting choice to be focusing their attention on, especially when they have so many closer threats. And the threats that they do have are the likes of In Hyper and Deadeyes. I mean, that isn't... And even further, Taco Wednesday is the closest threat to him. That's three other teams to worry about. Luckily, In Hyper doing a little unintentional assistance there to the Control crew and actually putting the pressure there on Wednesday.
Yes.
However, we are not out of that thick of it by any means.
And Hyper coming into this fight, they did end up losing Gaji earlier. They're still a 3-man, though, and absolutely a formidable force. They're going to go ahead and grab their vehicles, and looks like they are looking for a new position to grab. But we have Taco Lovers now slowly creeping up towards Control here.
Well, you know, In Hyper as a three-piece, very formidable team still. And granted, yesterday, yes, they did participate for the majority of the event on day one of the last chance stage as a three-piece, but it didn't seem to be let's win or bust kind of a thing. They just didn't seem to really be in their zone, but we're definitely seeing a different tone for Hyper today, and that's kind of what we like to see. Everyone likes to root for an underdog, and when the underdog is a heavy hitter like Hyper, anything's possible.
Yes,
but we're already having more tacos running into trouble. It's a trouble taco as Thursday unintentionally lines himself and Doodle up like fish in a barrel for Crazy of Zombie Boys, and the high ground in full effect, just wrecking an onslaught, a hailstorm of bullets down onto him, and there was nothing that they could have done to retaliate with other than maybe a lucky grenade.
Yep, and that's just such a hard spot to counter, and it's so funny because we have Crazy on this one side, Sita down below was able to take out one of the Manic members right before you had mentioned that. The Manic was in the distance on the other way, so Zombie was really asserting their high ground here, really raining down shots on these other teams right now. We're looking at Julio, who does have someone right below him right now. Who is that? That is Zane and the rest of Manic here in striking distance for Zombie Boys as well.
Yeah, I will get the perspective of Onion Sir and Zane here, quickly switching over. As you can see, Zane really facing the pressure of that low ground disadvantage, but even more so, if Julio threw a nade over the cliff ledge, even that could be trouble for Zane. And there's literally nothing he can do from his position to retaliate, so it's all on Zane's teammate.
Yes, absolutely.
And just to zoom out a little bit more here. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, I keep on looking at 3 different screens trying to remember which one's mine. But Onion and Zane really spread out here for being at such a low ground disadvantage and surrounded on numerous angles. And luckily for them, Zombie Boys getting a little bit of third-party attention to distract them from Manic. And if you are a 2-piece at this point, you know, maybe the safest bet for a map as critical as Miramar is to, at the very least, get those placement points. But remember what we said, though, during last match, though, Beans, you know, is that the time is of the essence. That clock is ticking, and this is probably the last match where I'd say that you can afford to really be patient. If you are teams in that lower scoring bracket.
Yeah, I agree with you fully on that one. I mean, with Miramar, because it's so open, because we have teams that are putting themselves in position like Zombie Boys here and a few of these others who have really great high ground, moving could be your enemy here. It's so wide open. If you're sniping, you got a good control of these M4 like a lot of these pro players do, you're going to be an easy target, even if you do have a pretty fast vehicle. So I can understand why Manic is just staying put right now. I like Onion Sir's position a lot.
I hate to play devil's advocate, man, but they are in 17th place out of 18 teams.
Oh,
there really should not be much idle time for them. They should honestly, even if it means being eliminated early on because of some hyper-aggressive, vulnerable play, they have nothing to lose.
That's a great point. That is
because,
absolutely.
A little bit of craziness over 3 matches could be enough to at least, yeah. At least gets Taco Tuesday driving directly into trouble as well, off into Mist. And I see now that we are watching the Zombie Boy still. Okay, sorry about that.
No, I'm just looking. I heard there's shots going on over here, so let's go see what's happening with Taco.
I've got it on my screen, and the tacos got munched. It is all you can eat buffet for Wolf of Mist, and they're not out of the thick of it yet. All those shots were just basically honing beams on a map as open as Miramar, and Hyper now knows Mist's location, and they know that they just got out of an altercation, so they might even assume that Mist is injured still. That could be a little problematic for Hyper more so than anything, but
yes, the fact that they are down to 2. Yep.
And on top of that, we've got Rude Dudes and F29 squaring off in the distance, so multiple points of altercation, but it's never side of Mist.
And look at this on stars. Oh my goodness.
And you know what? I don't even know if Mist knows, but Dauntless has now third-party approached.
Oh, the timing! Their timing was so useful for Hyper here.
Oh, man. I've got the full playing field up, and this is going to be crazy to see what... Okay, so if Mist focus heavily on Dauntless, they're almost certainly going to have to swallow some shots to the back from Hyper. The only thing stopping those shots from happening now is Rude Dude's Whitebeard, but the nade! 2 birds, 1 stone!
Beautiful.
The big bad wolf has struck, and I mean, a little salty to Dauntless salty, a little salt on the wound, but sent back to lobby nonetheless, and still not out of the thick of it, but Whitebeard of Rude Dude's not far off from In Hyper either.
He's just bush camping right above them. We also have GR Esports doing circles in this area. ICU, I just noticed them. They're in a great position to look over all of these teams on that hill.
And after, after ICU's match previously, you do want to see that change in the tides. So I'm really glad to see that Elim count that they were able to put up last match. And I don't remember what specifically their overall score was after round 1. But, the effort that we are seeing, not giving up and really kind of seeing it through. They want every shot at Brazil possible and every chance to improve their skills at any given point. Alien...
Let's see.
I apologize.
No,
buddy.
you're good. No, I was just 100% agreeing with you there. Where was... Oh, Zombie Boys were trying to come up and take this compound here, and it does look like that was the last of Zombie Boys. I didn't even see what happened with them on their hill, but they had one member left coming out of that, so it looks like on their way out of holding on to that high ground, they got ambushed, they got hit hard, so Zombie Boys are done now. They take 10th place.
Well, we got In Hyper and Rude Dudes duking it out. Whitebeard making his final stand here. Unfortunately, just wrecked through even the smoke, and now Stars clinging to this dead vehicle for what he assumes is going to be his cover. He does lose his knock in the process. It's a third-party kill steal for Mist, but all the while, Rude Dudes and Deadeyes duking it out on the crescent top.
Yes, they are. You are absolutely right about that. We also have F29 across the way, and then ICU. We mentioned them a little bit earlier. They've got a beautiful angle on all of these teams. We got Deadeye's guys. They were peeking that a little bit. One of them was able to get knocked. Valak with a good snipe in that direction. And they get another knock there. Nate on Blade. Good long shots. Good long distance spray with that M4.
And I'm actually seeing sorry, the teams aren't rendering in, but it's... Oh, yeah, Nate. Catching eyes on Nate, who is just aggressively driving forward here. I see that you have your cam on him as well, so I'm going to switch on out of that.
All right, looking over at GR Esports on my side, just to see what's happening from this end.
A little eye in the sky here for some context, but Nate basically... he tried to use the geographical cover, but unfortunately, just a sliver of him had to have been showing, and GR was able to catch that. It is going to be interesting to see how Juancho is able to counter this, driving directly into a two-piece, and now leaving Valak on his own. See, now, in full honesty, that was a mistake.
It was.
That was a... sacrifices on a platter, essentially, and now Valak left there on his own with the final stand. Open shots, enemies there for the picking, but in giving off those shots, his location is compromised, and he is just in the open.
Yep.
So, yes, I mean, that's a team that just has so much potential, and when they are in their zone, boy, are they ever, but when they're not, and they start that little bit of a head game, and when things aren't going well, they
psychological
are very vulnerable to mistakes.
That's exactly what it is. You start getting down on yourself, you start feeling like you need to do more. And I'll say this though, they did get eliminated there. They took 4th place, but they absolutely could have put themselves in position to get even higher if they had chosen a better spot to dive in at. A little bit of unluck there. But GR Esports looking good. Let's see, Mist, you're right, Mist are spreading out wide now. Wolf over here going wide away from the team, feeling like he's got good coverage here.
All right, I'm going to go get a nice bird's eye so we get a lay of the land here. Oh, an alien met Area 51 and shot down, and that is going to bring GR down to a 3-piece. They're going to try to stick the revive, but the nade feels so close. Is it going to hit?
It's
Boom,
so
baby.
many of them, too. They're at one after another. Blade is tossing them in hot right now. I'm surprised we didn't see a single limb there. I really thought we were going to see both those guys get taken out, but a little bit of luck on their side.
A 2-1-1 split by Mist. It looks like it's now going to be adjusted into a 2-2 split, but with Vortex and Dark literally lining up in between these two teams. It seems like they are quick to rotate to the most disadvantageous position left here on the field. However, they got that little bit of hill cover from GR, but with Deadeyes just above them.
I was honestly very surprised we didn't see Deadeyes just full send it on them. There we go. Boom, Leon sending big shots now, and you see their left side is wide open to this Deadeye guys squad.
It honestly seems like that's a little bit late to the strike even. But Neverside is able to revive his fallen teammate, Vortex, but now it's a exchange of utilities here. Gentleman finds out that Chivalry's dead real quick. Now there's more Gentlemen here taking the hits. Natto down and out, and now we have ourselves a Mist v Deadeyes. I'll get eyes on the Mist perspective if you wanted to get Deadeyes, or
yes,
vice
sir.
versa.
Nope, I'm on Deadeyes. I like it. We got Blade moving up right now. He is trying to find some position down low, but this could be dangerous there. He does have his team's back in him, but a lot of Deadeye's vision is obscured by this smoke. That's kind of why they didn't engage the Mist at first. They had all that smoke cover, which can help, but it also limits your visibility. Oh, Blade got hit by that nade, but does end up taking down Vortex.
And look at this, with Dark being so far off from Wolf and Neverside, I do not know how I would feel about this spread if they hadn't already gotten these knocks, you know? So, yes, I think Mist is, playing to the point where they are probably going to win this, but I'm not really sure if I agree with the way in which they've done it or the way in which the other teams allowed it.
Yeah, I definitely did not expect them to push that far out in the open, especially considering where the zone was. They had a few other places, but they made it work, pulling off the win there. Wow, Miss, very nice job proving both of us wrong. We both kind of questioned that push there to the middle.
I'm not even going to say it's proving us wrong. Like, here's the thing. I mean, yes, I could tell that it was probably going to work out in their favor when they had it down to a 1v3, I believe, at that point. But realistically, they lined themselves up between two different sets of full teams almost, and Deadeyes had high ground on them, and at least two of the four members were visible. So that does seem like an opportunity almost wasted. And not even almost.
No,
that's an opportunity wasted because Mist was able to capitalize after that and secure the win. And not just secure the win, but do so with 17 eliminations. And that is 27 points to take away from that round alone.
Yes, right you are on that one for sure, Red Eyes. And we've had an interesting one here to start in round 3. Oh, just messed up on Red Eyes cameras a little bit. You guys can ignore that. Let's go ahead and swap over this. We still got Red Eyes in the background. But yeah, guys, definitely an interesting round there. The Miss coming out strong. I did not quite expect them to do as well as they did that round. We're looking at the totals right now, and I see a 17-point elimination count for them that round.
27-point takeaway for that team. Just honestly, now don't get me wrong. Let's not discredit what is a annihilation of the playing field. 17 elims is you can't really argue that with, but anyway. But at that very last stage, last zone, with 3 teams remaining and 2 teams literally sandwiching them, and one of those 2 teams with high ground and the other within nade distance, it is just, let this be a lesson of what happens when you hesitate to capitalize on those advantages, because a team like Mist, if you give them that second chance, they're going to capitalize themselves, and here they did. 27-point takeaway.
I can say that Deadeyes guys going back, when they watch the replay of that, they're going to be kicking themselves when they saw the great angle that they didn't capitalize on when Mists were moving up right there. I really thought we were going to see some big things from them, a good spread. They were a little bit denied by GRE Sports there too near the end from their position, but yeah, was a little bit unexpected. But yes, definitely a good round 3 in the books.
If we want anything, it's unexpected.
Exactly.
We don't want to be
predictable.
Anticipating the ending here halfway through day 2. We want to be left on the edge of our seat all the way up until the end of match 5. And I think that we have a pretty genuine possibility for that, depending on how 9Z and rushers behave moving forward.
Yes, definitely going to be keeping a close eye on these teams here. We did see 9Z Globin eliminated first in that one. Rusher 7 did end up taking a fifth place overall, excuse me. So they didn't quite get as many points as they wanted. That really does open the door for these other teams to come in and push, especially when we're seeing a 27-point performance like what the Mist just dropped. Love to see that.
And Mist is, you know, they're a team that started off the day at 11th place. So literally, just to put it in context, this last match was 6 points more than their entire first day takeaway.
Wow, that is very interesting there. So you see they came out with some motivation today, or especially in this round 3. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and the question is, though, is that something that they can continue? As we saw, this was one of the, if not the first Miramar of the stage. So realistically, who knows how many opportunities they could have had if they were given an abundance of Miramar. But regardless, you know, are we going to have another one today? I don't know. I didn't know we were going to have one. So maybe. Let's say maybe it is their special map. Maybe that's where they really thrive. But with the nature of the Miramar glitch, I don't know if they're going to get to exercise that. So
exactly,
they're going to have. I mean, they've got just a few matches to work with at this point, and
it's definitely gonna be us looking closely to see who is gonna capitalize on this. This is the last opportunity. 2 more matches. The Mists right now are really showing that they have the motivation, that they want to get there in that top 4, and I'm all for it if they can. But for now, guys, we're going to go ahead and get ready. We do need to jump into this next lobby. And yes, guys, we'll see you here soon for the next match. Let's see actually what that's going to be on. I do believe we're going to have this on... It is going to be on Erangel next, guys. All right, so Erangel, I like how there's a little bit of question here, a little bit of mystery. And yeah, it keeps things interesting for sure. So, all right, guys. Yes, enjoy the replays from that last round. We'll be back here soon with the start of match 4 on Erangel.
Yes, enjoy the replays.
Yeah, it's not going to be as ideal as they were hoping. Realistically, this is, we say it all the time, but Erangel is a pretty accommodating map and a decent middle ground between, the two extremes of geography that we're working with other than this. So realistically, this isn't going to be as bad of a path as it looks like, but it is going to probably mean a lot of later half landers. Because you got really Primorsk and Millibase and Pachinki as your first half of the path's options, your realistic options. So I think we might get some later in congestion or that cluster towards Pachinki, but it's going to be one, the other, or both. As you can already see, we only had 2 teams drop in the first beginning there. Around the Millibase is going to GR, and Root Dudes are going to be able to claim Primorsk, but literally everything else is going to be, as I said, divided between the Pachinki droppers and the Georgia Pole. North and south. So this could be an intense first half of the match for us. I got it. I got that on my screen, and FSS with an S18 making every pellet count there. And goodness knows, to start off before getting any armor and just that split millisecond difference in drop time, just that, I guess, realistically, like a 0.3 second head start in getting to the speed drop really paid off in spades here, as he was able to get that weapon before his opposition had any hope. But look at the spread here that Control has. They still have an outlier, and that's in the form of JPack here. So realistically, even though the numbers are against them, they could get a surprise takedown here to even the odds a little. Brick is probably going to be choking on that caster curse, but he does have a DBS, and the DBS won't stop a utility. And, I would like to, give the credit, but at the same time, we don't have time to waste. We got the Rusher 7 and Dauntless in North George. Now, I'm keeping eyes on it just to relay the info and let you know if anything does happen. But even with one building separating these two teams, this could be a bit of a standoff because it is North George. And as we've seen time and time again, even though you have close proximity to your opposition with so many buildings and clusters there to choose from, and literally just time to waste, we've seen that North George be, on average, over the past couple of years, mainly a slower gameplay region. However, as I say that, Spooky's throwing nades crossbound, and I do believe we had something in the kill feed. I believe it was a zombie boy. All right, you got this. I'll go take out an eye out down there and see what's going on. Oh yeah, they've cleared out any real threat there. So I'm going to come back to you and get both sides. Yeah, this definitely not going to call this one the boa strat. I'm going to call it the coin in your back pocket at best, because realistically, if they knew who they were up against, they would not feel as comfortable as they have been in this 2-1-1 split. There's no chance of surrounding bullets and vetoes through Claus and his teammate, what's his name? There's just no possible chance of rotating around that backside without being taken down. All the while, we got Taco Lovers and Mist having at it in the distance, so I'm going to catch in on that as well. Now, Mist, well, they got Thursday down for the count. Doodle is knocked, leaving it in the hands of Tuesday and Wednesday. It's all up to the early to midpoint of your work week. And the big bad wolf has been down. So that's going to leave things in the hand of Neverside and Vortex. And talk about a spread here. These two teams are just... Mist is just way too far away from one another. Especially in context of Yep. You know, I think that that victory for Mist may have been sort of a detrimental encouragement to them, that this spread out strategy is the ticket for them. But I don't really see Lightning striking twice in that way, because it's not just relying upon them hitting their shots, but it's also relying on them not getting ganged up on or just bad luck in terms of positioning. Neverside falling quickly back to Bob and just swallowing a DBS meal. Now it's all in the hands of Vortex, and Vortex is swallowed whole. Dauntless and Rushers on my cam here in the North George. It's going to be a fight. They're fighting it out now. Got it on my feet here, and yeah, it looks like they are going to push in, and it is not panning out as well as the Rushers would have hoped. And realistically, this is kind of a little pat on 9Z's back if the Rushers don't survive this. This is because at this stage in the stage, ironically, literally all the top performing teams, how they perform is going to affect the entire rest of the structure and placements afterwards. Dauntless, a team who has not necessarily performed at an above exception level, able to come in and dominate on a team that has. That... I'm not gonna lie, my map has disappeared. I don't know how, but... Now that is an off angle that is going to be bad news for ICU, but bad news for Elite as well. He is literally shooting off in the distance while in open plain sight. for members of, pardon me, I want to say Dauntless, but I have a different color code than you. So for members of Manic, I see you, pardon me. Yeah, that is interesting. Okay, well, Manic now is literally surrounding ICU on 3 different angles here. Now, we were talking about that boa strat. That actually could have been one, potentially. But, yeah, this is interesting that ICU is literally being gate-kept by a 2-piece. So that, again, you know, that we have information that our participants don't. And this Observer 2020 vision in full effect here, but ICU, if they knew what was gatekeeping them, they would feel a bit more confident about pushing inwards for sure. Positioning and zone shifting is key, you know, anticipation of the zone shift, but getting that early real estate can allot for a spread out position if the context affords it. So multiple angles of high ground without leaving yourself overly vulnerable. That's you know, the situations that you're really talking about is where even as a 2-piece or a 3-piece, you can spread out and give the impression of a full team. Goodness gracious. This is going to be really interesting. If In Hyper can turn the tides here on 9Z, this would be the real breaking point, where the real opportunity to alleviate that gap that 9Z has established. And, you know, while they've had a mixed day, 9Z's had a mixed day. They had a win, for sure, and a strong win. Also, a little bit of karma dished out. Yeah, the thing is that when they did win, they won with a 27-point gain. So even if you take that into account with the last place, that's about a 13.5-point gain per match, and that's a very strong gain. Yeah. So that last place elimination, as comforting as it could be, it isn't. But we've got other things to worry about right now, because yeah, and you know, I was just about to commend ICU for getting that placement, but the whole benefit of that high ground is the overwatch, and the taco lovers were still able to catch them unawares and to aggressively push uphill without facing any fire. Nice. The odds have been even. Yeah, Juancho's definitely going to need to steal in here, which is going to mean it's all in the hands of Zuko to provide that Overwatch cover fire. But Juancho with a devious uphill! Just happened. That is too powerful for a shotgun to be 15 feet away from. Well, hey. Yeah. Yeah, the vultures, the sharks in the water coming to pick off the remains of ICU. Zuko trying to enshroud himself in a cloud of smoke as the sharks They smelled the blood in the water, and they wanted a piece of that weekend ICU. They said, we'll take those 2 easy elims, and look at him. This is the in-hyper we were hoping to see all of yesterday, or probably all of day 1, and look at it. We are seeing it in spades as they climb up to 8 elims and carry forward as a full 4-person team, and have already acquired the placement points. This might be the match to really set it off. I think this is going to give them their real shot here. If they're able to continue this momentum and, let's say, 4 or 5 more elims before match ends, I think it could make a significant difference in how they perform in this last one. Yep, that's them. That's in hyper. Because I'm telling you, when Sheephan gives a locker room talk, man, I mean, it's Gerard Butler gladiator status.
Yes,
I mean,
indeed.
It is. Sheephan is so intelligent when it comes to strategy, placement, everything about this game, and he is cold and calculative, and he is taught in hyper to be that way, and that is why they exercise so well under pressure. And that, along with a couple other things like an outrageous amount of synergy. In hyper does not swap out, players on their roster anytime something goes bad. They don't make quick, abundant, extemporaneous trades. They sit on the bad matches and they say, what did we do wrong? Well, let's work on fixing that together with this team. And because of that, they literally have competed in more esports events in NA as a solidified unit than any other team.
Yes, they were the PMGO rep for North America, or PMGC rep for North America last time, if I'm not mistaken.
Pardon me, I will say more than any other Tier 1 team. Because there are teams that ride the top of the Tier 2 bracket that have been the same 4 pieces for years. And so that's not to discredit them, but when you're performing at the level that In Hyper is, and performing at global stages, it's a bit of a different scenario.
Definitely, without question. And it's why I have high expectations when I see these guys too. And it's funny because they were performing a little bit under expectations, but coming out here day 2, they are going right back up there. They're playing like they're running on all 4s here. Now, chat, I just want to say thank you guys for bearing with me. I did have a small issue with my mic there. You were hearing some top tier commentary from Red Eyes, and you guys can use your imagination to wonder what I was saying. But we are
all right.
Looking good.
Whoa! Wait, what are we seeing here? How
I'm
did
not even
GR
sure.
Get into
He is in a funky spot.
What in the hardcore parkour?
He had to have gone up every single rung.
I don't even know how to do that.
Crazy. What?
Right.
Ridiculous.
I was gonna
push.
You know, we talk about geographical opportunities, and I was just going to GR for really utilizing the geography to their favor. This position right here, this divot, literally is 4 different angles of cover. But the flip side of that coin is if a team is able to sneak up on you, which they shouldn't, but F29 was.
Yes.
They didn't actually see F29 until they were 5 feet away. So while they did take consideration to the geographical opportunities, they did not really utilize them as best as they could have.
And F29 really made them pay for it, honestly. Looking over at GR Esports, they're down to 2 members. Oh, what was that? We just saw some craziness going on here. Rude Dudes and Dauntless.
Yeah, that's the Rude Dudes having at it with Dauntless, and the nades are crashing down. Claws swallowing a load of damage there. Desperately going to try to met up here, and it's going to be on his teammate, what's his name, to provide a little cover here, hold his opponents off at bay, and he's going to try to keep them held off with a little bit of utilities. We see this time and time again, and this is where a molly can really pay off in spades on a staircase. But that is wishful thinking here at this point. As you can see, this really isn't a situation where one team drastically outnumbers the other. Rude Dudes is, I mean, it's a 2-piece up here at the forefront.
Yep.
So what is this hesitation?
I'm a little confused about it myself here, Red Eyes. I really did think, especially with the way Dauntless is playing, but maybe they're not sure of how many they're going against. There may have been a third party. Oh, but look at that. Dead Eyes. They hear the fire going on, and they are assembling nearby as a full four-man. That could be dangerous.
Talk about context, and we've been saying it over and over again. We actually have check out this map, bro. Check out this zone. This is, our participants are kicking their feet at this new zone, but I myself couldn't be
and
more
look how
thrilled.
much of that is water. Wow,
Yep,
you are
well over
absolutely
50%.
right.
So it is going to be very problematic for anyone who would have been on that southern island. Luckily for them, no one was. Rude Dude's Dark not going to be able to really work his way in without us dealing with Dauntless. And so realistically, I'm going to say it's going to be in Hyper, Deadeyes, and GR kind of squaring off. And taking a step further, if Dauntless does engage with Rude Dude, Stark, their final hope, it's going to leave them vulnerable to Deadeyes and GR.
Mm-hmm. These teams already have to have an idea that there's something going on here. There's been a lot of shots traded, and I'm sure that's part of why Deadeyes grabbed this compound here. We also have N Hyper not too far behind them across the street.
But look at how they're doing it. In Hyper, taking a different strategy than every other team here. Well, they're all solidifying his units. In Hyper was just fine, spreading out side by side there to span the area, span and scan the area. Looks like they're going to be lining up a little bit more, and they do have, at this point, one of the more ideal positionings. I will give it credit where credit is due. GR has the high ground, which could be huge.
Absolutely.
But in Hyper has the likelihood of the zone shift.
Oh.
So, I think it's going to be a trade here. That it's going to come down to a little bit of luck here.
You're right.
As to who's going to fare off advantageously there. But
we mentioned Deadeyes guys and Dauntless. That fight has started. Deadeyes guys have crept in that position. And that one Dauntless member's down. Klaus, as a solo, not even backing up to get him picked up. He's focused on defending this compound, but it is a full four-man of Deadeyes guys looking directly at this compound. That Dauntless member gets thirsted afterwards by Blade.
Well, you'd think he would have been going after, like, Vampire Esports or something. All right. Well, Claus making his final stand and shrouding himself in what bits of cover he can and going to just show how important those utilities can be at an in-game. Claus, he planned for a vehicle rotation and having that vehicle cover if worst came to worst, but that was taken away from him, and now he's left with open field to cover into this new zone and no other way to do it than to just smoke his path forward and hope upon hope that they don't see him.
Yes, and it's a very tough situation to be in here. The Deadeyes guys know he's around.
He's playing it pretty well.
He really is, and I've seen Klaus.
He doesn't shoot.
I've seen Klaus a few different times as a solo make some things happen. Maybe not pull out wins because it is difficult, but definitely has won plenty 1v2s. Gets hit hard by that nade and gets finished off by Shifu.
Look at that, the nade to take you down to half health, and then at that point he was a bowling pin to Shifu. And now, In Hyper was paying very close attention to the kill feed, and now they're going to begin an aggressive approach towards the altercations.
Blossom.
In Hyper.
Nice shots. Opens
literally
it up.
9 elims between Blossom and FS. So this is interesting.
Yes, this is looking great here, and Hyper decides to take Deadeyes guys on first. If they eliminate them, they'll be looking really good here in terms of positioning.
This is not a positioning that In Hyper should be able to capitalize on the Deadeyes guys for, but this again, reputation and intimidation in the community. This is In Hyper, and that does put a chill down your spine, especially with how they've been playing today. So they're able to bully from a low ground.
Oh, what just happened to Gaji?
Gaji just swallowed a healthy nade that was flown through smoke. So that was actually probably a bit of luck too. FS retaliates with a P90. He gets 2 of them.
2 knocks down. Yes, great
and it's
shots.
all down to Blossom. And if I'm not mistaken, Blossom, I think, might be Christy, who's actually one of my staff members.
Christy OP.
But she is, Christy's been putting up literally 33% of In Hyper's kills this match and is
nice
getting
shots.
More.
Oh my
go,
goodness.
Christy.
She is not done and is absolutely feeling confident taking those shots, going back to grab the vehicle, and we might see her push this. Maybe.
I mean, if we do, I would hope that she would be trying to prioritize any possibility of a revive. It doesn't look like that's actually going to be.
No, yeah.
There's no chance. I just looked at FS's location. Not going to happen. So realistically, Blossom doesn't have a choice.
And has a disabled vehicle right now too. She's gonna go back
out of the zone
and go
to get
for this
to the
vehicle.
four-seater.
And this actually might work out. We'll see. For now, Deadeye's guys.
I mean, I don't know what other options he or she would have to potentially have a shot at getting by that, unless maybe laying low and letting them try to fight each other and then working your way behind them.
Just gets hit
Just
there.
at the cusp of the blue zone.
I was
and then
cheering for
taken out.
them. I was cheering for Blossom to make it in. Oh goodness. Let's see now. It's a 4v2 situation.
Yeah, this is and realistically, Deadeye's, they've been playing it pretty consistently this match. Not really at a fast pace, not really at an aggressive pace. Not bad in terms of eliminations at all. They've got 6 to their name between 3 of their players, but they have been playing a reserved approach in comparison to the previous matches in this stage, I will say. Deadeye's hasn't been really underperforming at any stage, have they? I mean, they're in 3rd place at the beginning of today, so they have good reason to play cautiously, especially right now when, all the odds are in their favor. Why would you give up that advantage?
100%. The zone, they've got middle of zone right now. They've got the higher ground. They've got the numbers. They are absolutely looking good here. Now we see GR Esports throwing some nades out, trying to back them off. That's a nice nade. Is that going to hit? It does hit Shifu for a little damage. There's another one coming in now too. And it takes down Shifu. Beautiful nade from Tornado. The bounce on it was OP.
Oh, the trick shots. And now Tornado continuing the onslaught. It looks like Shifu has been taken out of the equation here. So now we are left here with a 3v2. And as I almost hype it up, I caster curse the situation.
It was tough. And Tornado was looking for that safe area, but BB was tracking him the whole way. And that is it for this round. Deadeye's guys are going to pull out that win. They're going to drop a total of 8 eliminations on their way to that chicken dinner.
Let's give them credit, 8 elims and Blade at the forefront of that aggressive change and shift towards the end game. And so this goes to show the Deadeye's way of getting it done. It's smart, they're playing a reserved approach until they get to the top 8 teams, and then boy, really going into their own. And that's not to say that, because they at no point were shying away from any opportunities. They weren't passing any real opportunities up, but really waiting to get into their comfort zone, that aggressive approach. And I think it paid off pretty darn well, especially when you consider where did 9Z and Rushers end that match.
Yes, that is a great point there.
Is that ground that they gained gonna actually make that much of a significant difference? I think if 9Z and Rushers were eliminated early on, I think it will.
Yes, I don't know how early they were. I do believe. Well, no, actually, they didn't get too many elims out of that. I did skip past that that final there, but we didn't see them have a whole lot of eliminations there. 9Z was taking on fights early. We saw they were knocked down to a duo. They didn't have a chance to get a whole lot of them out there. And then Rusher 7, same situation, I believe. If they got a few elims there, I don't believe it was more than 3 to 5. So
well, I mean, 3 to 5, depending on the placement, could be something. But okay, it's not even letting me out of the. I'm gonna have to restart my emulator, but yeah, either way, it's not gonna be enough to really intimidate. Even if with 3 to 5 elims, if you don't have any placement points, I still think that this could be a real opportunity for the Deadeye's guys.
Absolutely. The fact that they already had those points under their belt coming in, and they've done pretty well early. They didn't get any chicken dinners earlier, but they have gotten some frags. The way they take on fights, they're well organized. They go for position. They go for good positioning, and we saw them actually win 1 or 2 earlier, I believe. So they actually have had a few decent points tonight, and 100%, they are one of my predicted teams here in this top 4. Even with some of the craziness we've seen with some of these other teams like the Mist coming out of the woodwork, I am absolutely going to place Deadeye's guys right there in that 3 or 4 spot here, at least on my prediction list.
the mist came rolling on in and then dissipated the next match almost immediately, which is a real shame to see all that ground gain kind of lost. But we'll see what happens moving forward into our 5th and final match for the day of the PUBG Mobile Control Invitational Last Chance Stage, Day 2.
This
Stick
is
around.
absolutely
We'll be
the
back
last
soon.
chance, guys. Yes, sir. As Red Eye said, we'll see you shortly. Enjoy the replays from that last one. Okay, guys, here we go. Round 3 beginning. Oh, excuse me, round 5 beginning. I'm looking at the wrong thing. But yes, guys, we have a good one here to finish off the day. What a round it's been. One thing that I did mean to mention earlier, and I said it in round 1, didn't quite put the stress on that. We're actually missing 2 teams from this lobby. Teams 6 and 8 both did not join in this one for the last chance, which was very, very surprising to me.
Yeah, it is unfortunate to see that, you know, at this level of an event, but, you know, we've seen, you know, that kind of be the case fairly often, but it does, you know, it does say something in terms of sportsmanship, because I personally feel that it's the teams that really stick it out and improve the most on the days where things aren't going their best. Those are the days where you have the biggest leaps of growth, in my opinion.
100%. I mean, you know, the best learning method is, in my opinion, losses. It's taking L's, and it is a rough way to go, but hey, it's a good teacher. We've already got a limbs here. ICU is in a fight right now, guys.
Oh, wow, they sure are. And goodness, look at that flight path. It could not have been too much more opportune for the participants. They were just given nothing but options right off the bat, and, you know, they want that. But remember what we said yesterday at the end of yesterday, day 1. This is the particular match that I really think could be pretty interesting. This is the opportunity for teams like, you know, Manic, Just for Fun, Control, pardon me. That's the actual slot list, I'm realizing. But yeah, the teams who are placing on the bottom of the bracket, this is their real chance to kind of play a little toxic, meaning that if you have no shot at advancing onto the grand final stage, we said it in match 2, it does make you the most dangerous people on the playing field.
Nothing to lose.
Because you have nothing to lose. Exactly. And for, you know, say if you are a team that's been getting bullied by, like, let's say 9Z, I mean, well, if they haven't shown their drop locations and preferences at this point, then I doubt that they would. But I'm pretty sure that they have, and I'm pretty sure if you wanted to drop with them, you could. You know where to go.
Absolutely. We're actually seeing Rusher 7 and 9Z go at it. 1 and 2 teams of the day. Elite with some great shots there on Bolith.
Yeah, I was staring at the wrong camera there. My due apologies, but this is not bad news for literally anyone else on the playing field in certain lights. You know, it's like, oh yeah, whoever wins or whoever loses, we win some of that. But at the same time, do you want 9Z getting a single more point of elimination in their favor? So yeah, they are taking out even if they do take out the number 2 team, or even if Rushers hit 9Z, those are still points going to either one of the top placing teams. And then to come in as a third party, it's from Deadeye's working on In Hyper in the distance.
Oh, yes, we are definitely seeing some action over there. We're going to hop over to that in a second. Let's actually see.
Tell you what, I will pull that up on mine, so you can, afterwards we'll be able to switch right over.
All right, fantastic then. So yeah, we'll let this fight finish out. We're watching Vito's, who's getting full send. It looks like 9Z is going to go ahead and push this building and try to take out this one. Remember, Vito's on Elite gets hit hard.
That is just a shame. That almost inexplicable there. How? You know, he had all the opportunities on Elite, but as I say how, you know, I say that with an... So I get how, but at the same time, a real opportunity wasted. But we were talking about the pressure factor and the intimidation factor that putting up performance like 9Z on day 1 did. And I think that is it in full effect. I mean, that's the first time today that I can recall us seeing rushers be essentially dismantled out of their own hesitation.
Yes. That's a great point right there. I mean, they did not play like they have been playing some of these other matches, without question. I mean, 9Z did, I mean, it was a hot drop, so maybe they were a little more equipped on that one going at it, but I was surprised to see. I thought that was going to be a heavy fight with maybe 1 or 2 walking away, and no, 9Z was able to just lose 1 in that, and they do get the squad wipe of that next closest competitor, at least to start the day. So they're definitely going to be feeling good off that. That's some momentum that they can continue to roll with. All right, over
and I see
here.
that you got the control dauntless fight going, and I've got my eyes over the Deadeyes man just in case anything happens. But I'm gonna keep a little bit of the best of both worlds going here, and it looks like ICU and GR gonna face off on the Eastern Front as well. So many altercations for it being a early stage Miramar match. It doesn't
surprised.
often happen this way, but hey, you know, if there's anything that you can predict in PUBG Mobile esports, it's unpredictability.
That's well said. Especially though after our first Miramar match with how slow it is. But you know what? It really does speak to that some of these teams know that they're probably not facing, or they're probably facing elimination here. So maybe they are choosing to take on these fights that they would have backed off before. Maybe they are choosing to hot drop in a certain location where they know another team is that they want to get some revenge on.
So I've got eyes on a standoff between GR Esports facing off against ICU. How's the Deadeyes thing looking? I'm still turning my head there. I don't see any.
You know what? They're giving each other some space. Deadeye guys have backed off, so we're gonna put focus on that.
The Discord shares, as we all know. Gentlemen going after Valak too in the distance. I don't see anyone on that feed.
Good shot
there. Okay, Valak taken down.
Yes, it was indeed Valak taken down there.
If you just switch to my camera, it'll be fine.
I think I have you up here. Let me go ahead and jump over to that. Yep, you're up right now on stream. Yep.
Okay, great. All right, so, well, good timing. Good timing. We'll talk about a tough pill to swallow for ICU Esports. I think that they have just a bitter pill in every sense of the word as they're reduced down to half of their starting lineup of now reliant upon Nate and Zuko. But, you know, especially after they have put up, you know, a more contentious approach today. They really did give it kind of a much more valiant effort. I do think that they definitely left themselves pretty vulnerable to a lot of mistakes, though. And it's good to see that they are here in the last match, sticking it out regardless, because they're, as we were saying, you know, these are where you are going to improve the most. I was speaking with Valak, and he's saying if they don't qualify for Brazil, it could be resulting in a potential disbanding, depending on how the team wants to move forward. And so it is got a lot of weight riding on it. You know?
Absolutely. It's understandable. There's a lot of prep involved with this. These teams have known about this tournament for a few months now. And so it's definitely something that they've had their hopes set on. And it could absolutely be a deal breaker if you're not performing the way you want to against some of these other high-level teams.
Yeah. Well, you got eyes on Nate here. And I think, well, Nate somehow just drove by a full four-piece of GR Esports. And I think we can boil that down to just the sheer size of Miramar. As we were saying, objects may appear closer on the map than they actually are.
Absolutely.
I switched my attention briefly over to, well, on the wrong camera here. We're switching our attention over to the zombie boys. You got them up as well. I will get it from controls end. And it looks like I potentially I'll actually get eyes on the Deadeyes versus Manic fight.
Yeah.
Just in case you need to switch after.
Okay.
But getting eyes on Emery of Zombie Boys, why wouldn't they? Yeah, exactly. It's Julio and Emery, and the numbers are, even as a two-piece, in their favor, with Leon and Beast just far, far off in the distance. Goodness gracious. Talking about Zombie Boys and Deadeyes, but these colors are the same on my screen.
It's definitely, it's a curveball. You know what? That's what keeps us spry as broadcasters, right?
And all the while, Taco going after the Rude dudes in the distance too. But look, Julio cooking up a preemptive nade here, and aimed in at who?
It's a brick up there.
He seems aimed in at who on the first floor though. And here, you know, honestly, if you are Brick, what other options do you have other than, you know, trying to catch one of them off guard and get that one takedown? I mean, I call that the 300 strat, to try to
bottleneck them,
to hold a staircase where numbers, you know, can't really gang up on you as much. But realistically, if you don't have a molly, that's not a very easy place to hold. So
yes, 100%. It can be tough, especially when you have a full four-man like Zombie Boys. I mean, they haven't gotten the most points overall tonight in terms of wins and stuff, but they do play with a lot of tenacity, and we saw that there. They were getting those long shots, immediately pushed it to finish off that player, and Yeah, holding off no matter who the team, or no matter how many have against a full squad of zombie members or zombie boy members in your building, it would absolutely be a tough hold there. Okay.
A couple different potential points of altercation. Right now, if you can look at that map, I think this is going to be a battle for high ground. Realistically, you know, Rude Dudes, Manic, and Deadeyes, all three teams really going to want this Western Overwatch position that the mountaintops outside of Picado and Power Grid afford to the playing field. The problem with that is that you have the front-running team, 9Z, and the Taco Lovers in the back end outside of the zone, which is, you know, low probability, but the fact is that they're there. So if 9Z does push in while Deadeyes and Manic face off, it could be a very opportune third party for the current leaders of the playing field.
Yeah, great point there. 9Z is definitely a team that has to have our focus here. Just with how they've been playing, they're still in it in this top 10. And let's see, how many elims do they have so far? They're sitting at 4 elims in this match. And that might be all they really need to lock in their spot as this #1 team with the way that they've been playing tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a real slow play for 9Z, I would think. I would think that, you know, if anything, they're just going to try to ensure that they don't give any easy opportunities on a platter for the playing field to be evened a little bit.
Yeah, they really just need to play for position right now, the way that they are. Yeah.
They've done all the hard work. They've put all the slack in the rope that they're going to need for the day, as long as they don't find themselves eliminated, you know, early on. There's only 2 team slots that they need to stay alive for before they've acquired some degree of placement.
And then couple that with the frags that they already have. Oh, that was a good try.
You want to talk about, yeah, you want to talk about really, really unintuitive plays. I gotta say, Manic Onion Sir really putting himself as a sacrificial lamb in that situation. When Deadeyes already had the Overwatch, they knew his positioning, and then lines himself up in a fish in a barrel for utilities, while literally putting himself in such a disadvantageous position that he has no line of sight on the person he's throwing nades at.
And that's going to be tough. I mean, that's just a recipe for getting taken out easily. You're that separated from your team. You're you know, in that low ground. Yeah.
We got action.
Oh, where at?
9Z and Taco Tuesday facing off on my cam.
Yes, indeed. It's 2 are across the way from each other. Taco Lovers were heading in. And yes, 9Z did engage them here. We've got Thursday, Doodle Bob pushing up towards this hill right now. And actually, I don't know where the other 9Z member is. Elite is the solo. Oh, it's Scream Zoo there in the distance.
Yeah, and Elite making a desperate escape, trying to reunite with his only remaining teammate, but literally swallowing damage, being brought down to just below half health here. And now Tuesday's trying to meet him head on with a buggy of his own. This is destruction in the desert, and that is exactly what I want to see in the final match of the last chance stage.
Yes, without a doubt. I love to see that teams are playing a little more aggressive than they would, and these are 2 teams here that will absolutely take that opportunity to be more aggressive, to come out and maybe push a little farther out than they would normally. Whatever else, we've seen plenty of that action from Taco Lovers, taking on crazy fights, taking on hot drops with full confidence, though. Loving what we're seeing here so far.
You saw that Thursday literally just allowed 9Z to bully all over him, just driving through open field and desert.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah, and they each had their own vehicle, so there was nobody to provide any protection to them. It would have essentially, in most situations, I think, been a mistake, but with the way 9Z's been able to hold this, you know, and honestly, with the game they've made, I think they're afforded a little bit more wiggle room.
Yes.
And
It's a great
I
point.
didn't see the overall scores after the previous match to know just how much of a lead they continue to hold, but I mean, it can't be that extensive at this point. It really can't. I am a bit surprised to see a 1-1 split, every man for himself vehicle approach.
And
But hey, they've
I mean, it speaks to kind of how they've been playing. We did see this a little bit in earlier matches, definitely yesterday, maybe not as much today, but yeah, you can see these guys are definitely, they feel good about operating independently like that. Screamzoo right now is in a very easily fired on position for Zombie Boys. I'm surprised he has not been taken out yet, and there is the shots. Screamzoo has 4 guns looking at him right now.
Yeah, and on top of that, he's got members of multiple teams coming closer and closer.
Goodness.
Zombie Boys creeping in from one side, F29 from the other. We got ourselves a 9Z sandwich, and you know what? This is got probably the entirety of the playing field's attention, and look at that. Zombie Boys playing a little hero of the day here, eliminating 9Z just before they met the bracket for placement. Not early enough, unfortunately, as 9Z was able to acquire 5 elims, right?
They still have 1 left, though. Elite is still holding
They do!
on. They do.
And it's
He
not
was
just
squirrely.
one person left. It's the person who's got literally 80% of their elims.
Yep.
But to cast or curse him just right, he is
F29
swimming
full
in a
sending
pool
it
of
now.
F29 members, but they don't know that.
Let's see. Yes,
As long as he doesn't
looking through.
shoot, the temptation's there. He could probably even get a knock. But
Is it worth
and
it?
maybe even a thirst before being thirsted himself. But no, it's not when you are this close to placement. It would not be worth it at all. And I love seeing that sort of discipline and patience. I mean, yeah, it's not as action packed to watch, but it does show that there's a lot of professional tactics being applied here, and there's a lot of patience. And patience only comes with experience in PUBG Mobile Esports.
It's not just having accuracy, it's also knowing when to not fire. We kind of talked about that yesterday too, and 9Z really showing that off there. Elite has been one of their best players here and is going to keep the team alive on his back going into the blue now. We're going in a little farther. It looks like Deadeye's guys are still here. Remember, they had a solid win that last round, and they are in position still above Manic, as well as ICU, who's down there in San Martin.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, they find themselves a bit vulnerable in how spread they are. Now,
Yes,
granted,
just like you said. Well, Zane
yeah.
just went up and was able to knock Sheeper there, and he gets the knock on Beast now.
and you know, yeah, it is just too many vulnerable positions. Though they were trying to have an advantage in multiple angles over Manic, but the thing is they didn't really have that info back. Now Blade able to kind of get that takedown utilizing the high ground onto Zane. All the while, you know, we've got multiple teams facing off probably in his line of sight now. And one of those I see you.
I think that may be a squad wipe. ICU.
It is. ICU
They are finished
is
off on that
down
one.
and out for the count here, but we actually have quite a few full teams remaining. We got F29, GR Esports, Zombie Boys, Mist, and Deadeyes all at full rosters still. So
love that.
this could prepare ourselves for a interesting action-packed endgame, especially if you have a look at this zone as it currently stands. The advantage of high ground is just cannot be understated. This Zombie Boys positioning, they're going to have to contend with the likes of Deadeyes for it, but they've already got the high ground while Deadeyes is migrating up the mountain. So they should have maybe had some sources scouting the other side. Realistically, it's a fight that I think that they can handle if Deadeyes does continue to push up that spread out. And we've seen Deadeyes thrive, Deadeyes slip. I think this might be one of those slip scenarios if they're not too careful. And yep, just like that,
Beast is down. Yep. F29
yeah.
shifted their attention from Zombie Boys right over in that direction. And then the Mists are coming in full squad here behind Deadeyes, or at least behind Beast, who's down.
Well, the Mist, oh, you're right. Yeah, excuse me. I was looking at the color code thing, but, you know, interestingly enough, they missed the only real hyper vulnerable points are from Deadeyes, F29, maybe Zombie Boys off in the distance, but their most realistic surprise, I'll say. Surprise is going to come from Hod of Manic, driving in from the dead zone.
I see that, yes.
If he did decide to go for it, it would be terrible if he did. But,
He is taking shots from behind. I'm surprised he went for it here in fifth
he
stage.
is just, now, mark my words, toning beam. He is done for. even if he's able to get this thirst, he is
And
done.
didn't even go for it. Yep, didn't even try to go for the first aid kit. Just gets taken down. Was a good snipe on God LD, but wasn't a headshot.
Deadeyes not closing those eyes yet. They are continuing this ballistic barrage of bullets here as Blade and Shifu singularly alone bring the team up to 9 elims between just those two. So the fact that DeLeon is knocked doesn't really concern me quite as much as it should.
Oh, they have done really well here, and the fact that they've got about 10 now to their name, Shifu could just stay low and play for positioning, has zone, has the spot here right in the middle, high ground. We will see how they're going to play it. Either way, I'd say that was a pretty successful round from them here, even if they did get eliminated right now.
All right, well, yeah, I've got Shifu kind of firing every which way here, and for decent reasoning. He's got a member of 9Z behind him at a low ground disadvantage, and then he's got multiple people from Zombie Boys who he knows are at the forefront of this push uphill. On top of that, before he can even focus in, he's got to worry about the obvious threat driving forward in the shape and form of F29. Spotlight and God L cooking up some utilities and actually engaging with the low ground.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is interesting to see Deadeyes walk away from two teams duking it out right beneath them when they could literally Overwatch peek and just
Get some great damage on them. Yeah, they would have that angle.
Now, granted, with Zombie Boys up behind, that to watch the back end, but realistically, Blade could be attending to the low ground holders and miss, while Shifu at least and that's not being happening. And so they spread out as a two-piece, and Blade is just picked apart.
And that did not
He's
work out well
outnumbered
for
by
them.
Mist. Yeah, no, this was an opportunity that could have been amazing for Deadeyes. And I think it comes down to a little bit of, we know a lot more about the lay of the land here than they do. And that's
That
spectator 2020 vision.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mist and F29 too.
Here we go.
As you
Neverside just got knocked out, and F29 playing with some swagger right now. Gets a little back. And it was Relax who had a great angle here. And the Mist getting picked apart. Wolf is down there in that low ground. Relax trying to yeet some nades in that direction. Wolf has almost no cover here. Well, actually, no, behind him he does. But it does look like Relax can see him with that third-person camera. Here comes the nade in, and
all right, I've got a nice little lay of the land here. Got the whole playing field in camera, and this is going to be an uphill battle for GR in every sense of the word, all too literally. And as I say it, one down, Gentleman 36 is down. It's all in the hands of Gentleman OG and Alien. And boy, Chivalry, I keep saying it, Chivalry is dead.
they did end up getting a nice knock there on Relax, a knock and thirst. They knocked F29 down to 2 members, and Spotlight is down here on the edge. God LD is going to try to get over there to get them picked up. Should be able to.
You want to know something, man? Like, not enough attention has been drawn to this. No one has spotted Elite of 9Z. And so, as a solo who hasn't even really contributed a lot of elims, or if any, I haven't. Actually, wait, Elite definitely has.
Yeah,
what am I saying?
a little bit earlier.
But even so, he's been so inactive for the last, 10 minutes now, and still able to essentially thwart any real threat of being overthrown here.
And look at that, F29 with a solid gatekeep to take out GR Esports there. Spotlight is the last one left. God LD did end up getting taken out. They're going to be a solo now as well. So
Zombie Boys, Shifu and of Deadeyes and Zombie Boys Aorsic at each other's heels, but the elevation difference, they can't quite see each other yet. Looks like Shifu is going to go for it, and he just lines himself up like lambs to the slaughter.
Aorsic, easy a limb for them.
And he wasn't even expecting that. He was just expecting to try to let the numbers dwindle as long as possible. But look at that! Rude dudes! Titani!
Beautiful.
Titan 1v99, just using his ears as his second set of eyes. And beautifully thrown, beautifully cooked. And now we are left here with 3 teams. It's a 2v1v1. F29, Rude Dudes, and 9Z. And in a match that 9Z, realistically, all odds were stacked against them making this end game here. And Elite
that
Mhm.
coin in the back pocket really paying out in spades here.
They really have punched their ticket. They guaranteed their spot to the grand finals. We knew they were one of the top teams, and they really came out in this day two and just showed that they belong in that top team conversation, in that grand finals conversation. And
Well, hey, did a rude dude take out Gentleman?
no, it was F29 that ended up taking them out. They F.
Well, for the sake of the dad joke, I really think, that.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. The rude dude on the gentleman.
Thank you. All right, I'm getting a top-down view over this playing field here, and look at this 2v1v1. It is a battle of patience ensuing here on the playing field, and this is going to come down to Elite and Spotlight both want that extra slot of placement points. All they have to do, they don't need to win. Elite knows he doesn't need to win. All he has to do is stay alive longer than Spotlight for that extra 2 points.
Yep.
And very understandable as to his hesitation, but he is at a low ground now, and he has no way of climbing this
Join
zone.
me.
So
Yep.
Make us please.
that means that if Spotlight doesn't get spotted soon, that Elite will probably, all things considered, be the next one eliminated, or at the very least, he can only remain hidden so long before swallowing that damage here. And look, he's throwing blind grenades up, and it might even crash down on him.
I love the effort. I mean, he knows he doesn't have much of a chance here. You can't climb up. Obviously, the blue is doing a ton of damage right now, so why not go for it? Spotlight still staying low there, just lying dead still, not trying to be not trying to be easily seen. Titan running around here, and Spotlight's gonna jump out and engage. Titan
And just like
was
that,
ready.
it pays out for Elite. It pays out
Wow.
for Elite, and
Elite still has a
Goodness.
first aid kit and will get
Yeah,
a
but he's not
second
gonna be
place
spotted.
finish. Oh yeah,
he's
no
not
way.
gonna. No reason to even. I don't see why people do utilize that first aid if they know they're not gonna be able to make it into zone. I don't think you get any extra points for staying alive longer at that point, do you?
No, nope, not at that point.
Well, the rude dudes, smack talking their way all the way to that chicken on the tip of their tongue finish, and doing so as a 3-piece. And look at the point distribution, literally just laying low, a more reserved, conservative approach. And if anything, rude dudes could have maybe implemented this strategy a little bit sooner. And it clearly seems to have paid out well for them. They don't seem altogether too confident in terms of their close quarter confrontations, where numbers may not be in their favor, and that's okay. Tons of teams aren't. But what they are comfortable doing is, positioning and scout relaying as a singular unit. And in this case, that's all that they needed to do once they had that high ground positioning and the zone favor. And from that point, it got down to a numbers in their favor game. And once it was a 2v1v1,
Yep.
they basically knew that it was going to take an error on their end for them not to win. It would have to take a mistake, vulnerability, a pretty big one too, considering the location of the low ground holders.
Yeah.
So this is something that I will say it might have been a little bit late, too little too late, but I think that they can take this information and moving forward into the future events that they participate in and say, all right, well, we know our initial strategy, and we also know where we need to improve the most is going to be in those moments of confrontation. And for the sake of it, let's give them credit to where credit is due as a 3-piece getting a dub. And, especially up against 9Z.
Well,
and
that whole
F29.
last circle was crazy, and the fact that them as I think it was a duo, because I believe it was just those two there at the end.
Yeah, it was a 2v1v1 at the end.
Yeah, they were able to creep through. That means that they went through Zombie Boys who were up there. Deadeye's guys were holding the top. F29, they did a great job of navigating their way up there and getting onto that high ground. Maybe it was a little bit of delayed rotation for them, or maybe they went through the blue a little bit, but that was a huge part of their success there in the end.
Yeah, I think positioning is key, and we talk about context. Positioning and prime real estate in that light is so critical, especially never more so than on a map as open as Miramar. It's just so much open landscape, and time again, we are left with these final zones where a single compound might not even be afforded to the participants. And so, like, if you plan for this and can prepare for this, you're stocking up any absolute abundance of your smokes and carrying a vehicle around to try to have some last ditch cover fire. But you know, ultimately, high ground in the open desert of Miramar can give you more Overwatch than any other map. And in this case, if the zone had been different, that positioning that they had could have been literally 270 to 360 degrees of oversight.
Yes, that's a great point right there. It was a good spot there that you can kind of look all the way out there and see teams coming from way off. I mean, we see that too with the other peaks there, the two tall peaks that we saw Zombie Boys holding on to earlier. But yeah, I mean, high ground really makes a difference there. Rude Dudes, just a great job to get in there, move through the mess of players at the end, and really insert themselves into a position to grab that win. Now, my question is, was that enough for Rude Dudes to get that top 4? Remember, in this last chance lobby, only the top 4 advance. Everybody else is eliminated.
You know, they started the day off pretty low on the bracket here. I believe starting the day off in 12th, but didn't they have an impressive match earlier today?
A top 3.
They actually put up 27 points, or so. Is that them?
No, that was no, that was not
the
them.
top 3, how many points did they acquire?
For the placement points?
Well, just overall points, placement and elims.
So we don't know that offhand. We don't have live scoring, but we have our speculation powers, and we have that stats coming into the day. So yes.
Said I didn't get into PUBG deal with no numbers.
But yes,
I ain't no doctor lawyer.
We
I
know
ain't no math magician.
We know that they did do well. We know that they started out the day a little bit low, but I think that they may have been just enough of a performance to push them through here in this one to at least get in a top 5 conversation. Now, the Mists were the team that we were talking about that did drop 27.
Yes,
that was the squad.
Well, here's the thing. We noticed the Mist put up astronomical numbers and then be eliminated first out the next match. But realistically, as we were saying, that's a 13.5 point gain per match if you were to average it out, and that's a very healthy climb still. Was it going to be enough for the Mist, who started the day off at 11th place? We know between, day 1 and that one match alone, I guess it was match 2 or 3, they were able to acquire between those two, day 1 and that match alone, 48 points. So
impressive.
Yeah, I mean, so that would theoretically put them, if no one, scored points before the, at all today, that would have put them in the top 4. But with a 9Z staying, as a heavy hitting point acquirer, that really doesn't change much for them, because there's really only 3 slots they could have really gotten that advantage with. So Zombie Boys, Deadeyes, and Rusher 7 and GR probably the ones that they're really watching out for. I don't know if it was enough of a push forward to really tackle any of them off of their hill.
That's a good point. One of the teams would have had to really struggle, and I don't know if we saw that today. The one team
Zombie.
I was just gonna say that Zombie Boys, I think, was the one team we maybe did see struggle, and I could see that team getting replaced here. Maybe Rusher 7 too, although they did have a few good fights under their belt too. But
yeah,
it's gonna be interesting.
I mean, yeah, but give credit to where credit is due. We said it yesterday at the end of the day. A couple times, a couple wins, you can maybe find a way to equate that to a luck factor. But to literally hold the top positioning for the entirety of the stage of this event, you got to give flowers to where flowers belong here.
Absolutely.
9Z put up just a phenomenal effort the entirety of the stage. They came here ensuring, like, they never took their eyes off the prize. And even down to the split moments where they're down to a solo on Miramar and have a clear line of sight on 2 or 3 enemies that they could at least secure 2 elims with. And we saw this in the last match, I believe, match 5.
Yep.
Maybe it was, but that really does come down to discipline, self-control, practice synergy, and a IGL who is context aware, meaning that he is looking at how many teams remain. He's looking at which of the teams he knows are there, and he's looking at what they need to actually get where they want to go. If only the top 4 advance, what do we need to do to ensure that we make it into the top 4 by any means necessary? And they did not give up that advantage at any point. And that's crazy because they were literally one of the last one, or one of the first ones removed in some of these matches.
Yes, that's a great point. And really, I think we're going to see some interesting things once they do, because we know for a sure thing now, 9Z is most likely making that into, with their performance tonight, they are going to be in the grand finals. They are going to be giving some of these grand final teams some headaches, in my opinion. Just the way that they've been playing this lobby, their confidence, and just their tactics. I could absolutely see them causing some headaches, maybe even doing some big things here come grand final time. There is definitely some impressive teams there, I'll say, though. I'm going to have a look at that list real quick, guys. We'll give you a shout out or give you an idea of who's already waiting there. Looking at the grand finals, we're going to have Titan Gaming, BIS Sentinels, Super Laser Reflex, Extreme Slayers, Nemesis, KR Esports, Golden Eagles NA, Dark Esports, Straight Outta Nepal, Lotus Esports, the Panthers, Inferno Esports, and then the 4 from this one. So it's going to be a good lobby without question.
Well, I can say with basically the utmost confidence that 9Z will need a strategy shift if they intend on performing anything like they performed in this stage. Well, you are going up against the Mortal Kombat bosses starting tomorrow, and that is not a position where you're going to be able to make some of the mistakes that were made at the end of yesterday, or in round I guess it was round 2 or 3 today. None of that is gonna fly in the grand finals up against teams like SLR, Extreme Slayers, etc. Sentinels. I mean, all of them are going to be waiting for a single split-second error like that. And while 9Z, they performed phenomenally, I will not say that they didn't make mistakes. We saw them make actually probably a considerable portion of mistakes that honestly should not have led to them still coming out victorious in those situations, but their opponents really made a lot of mistakes in hesitating. Going to show that when you dominate a 2-day, day 1 of a 2-day event, what that does to the playing field's mental. I mean, it literally had teams that outnumbered 9Z, 4-2, hesitant to push on a 2-piece.
And it was so surprising to see. It really was. Absolutely.
It is in without the context. But once you see just how much of an onslaught they laid on the first 3-4 matches of day 1, what sort of performances that they were able to perform and really intimidate the whole playing field with, I don't blame opponents for that split second, chill down their spine. However, I do think that, when it comes down to the last 3 matches on day 2, it's make or break, bend or bust. But you don't have the luxury of patience at that point. And I think that a lot of teams are going to have to bear down on this marathon over sprint strategy on day 1s, but also know when to really start honing in. And, if there's ever a team that I've seen really exercise this well, it's generally in Hyper. But I think in today's terms, we can definitely say that it paid off in round 4. I believe whoever won round 4, was it Deadeyes or Rushers?
It was Deadeyes. That was Deadeyes.
Yeah, so Deadeyes really kind of holding off on that over-eager opportunity to try to really gain ground fast. And that comes down with patience. They're in it for the long-haul marathon, knowing that every single match, as long as they just chip away consistently, that they were able to climb their way. But when you only have 3 matches, and say you're a team that came in like Rude Dude status, that is time. That's crunch time. That's time to make a big play. And if it doesn't work out, then yeah, it might not work out. But what do you have to lose at that point?
I think you can say that you're better off for it for at least trying, right? You're getting that experience against the teams. It's better to engage and not just sit back and let other things happen. It will absolutely speak to your skill, will at least help you to improve some of these teams who we know are going to be eliminated. All of this experience is top tier. You're going against great teams, seasoned teams who have that experience. And I hope to see the NA scene get better because of events like this, guys. I know we have a lot of community teams. We've got a lot of people who started out in opens. You guys all have that ability. You just got to really make sure you are locking things down. You are serious on your prep, looking at the different zone rotations, looking at what your other teams are doing. All of that is so important, not just your straight up gun skill.
Well, if anything, I think, what Dead Eyes showed in match 5 here is that it's not gonna boil down to gun skill. I mean, this is not a gun skill game. If you really want to be realistic, this is a survival battle royale.
Yep.
And so, I mean, to be the best shooter in PUBG Mobile, that's great. It does not mean that you're gonna win, every single
match.
time. Yeah, by any means, you can be the best gun player in the world. You can be Coops, you can be Xenox, you can be Paraboy, but if you are in a 1v4 situation in the open field of a Miramar desert and some full four-piece has a Overwatch high ground on you and the zone in their favor, well, there is gonna be a little bit of bad luck factors in as well, and that's going to boil down to these sort of lessons. They only come with building the synergy. I guarantee you, everyone participating in this event today knew all these maps, all the good hills, divots, and geographical advantages and high points, and where to take them. But it comes down to reacting in the moment, those split-second decisions. And for a team like this is going to really bite me in this one, but for a team like InHyper, in the 4-year context that I have watched them perform, even back into when they were members of Nova, it has always been just really knowing how to take advantage of every single millisecond. That is why you have seen InHyper time and time again, they'll get a knock from a low ground and push immediately a vehicle push uphill to a situation where they might not, in first look, it would look like a crazy push. But that is the thing. InHyper recognizes those moments as they happen. Now, it's a shame that, they didn't perform at that expectation in this stage, but I think it is a lesson for the other teams on what a split second of hesitation can do, especially for a team like, Mist, that should not have had a 27-point game after being stuck in what I like to call the Bermuda Triangle of enemies. And realistically, they were literally in open sight to one of the teams for way too long.
Yes.
And that hesitation from a team, their opponent, ended up meaning that Mist was able to get that second shot at life, and boy did they capitalize. And it spelled bad news for the rest of the playing field and almost certainly changed the outcome of the top 4 placements.
I absolutely agree with you on there. It was an absolutely amazing night of matches. We saw a lot of interesting things. We absolutely have a lot more to discuss once we do have those results here coming in tomorrow. We can give you guys a full breakdown of these teams coming into the finals. It is going to be 4 teams from this, so we'll have plenty of context on what these teams just went through. But I am absolutely excited to see how these guys are going to play it, what the adjustments are going to be against in this higher lobby, and what happens. But yes, guys, we do have the next 2 days ahead of us here, 7 p.m. Eastern time, both nights. It is going to be the grand finals. Me and Red Eyes bringing you all the action. Hope you guys are ready for it.
Up to 6 matches, 12 matches total separates these participants from that in-game. Who wants that slot the most? Who wants their professional career to kick off the most? Well, time will tell, but luckily we don't have to wait long. So we'll be back at you same time tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, 7 p.m. EST for the grand finals of the PUBG Mobile Control Invitational. stick around. I guess until next time, I'm Red Eyes.
Yep.
This is my main man, Beans. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you guys again. Have a good night, everybody. Later.